Only 2 seconds left, and we have seen already that she's been struggling with time management. The knight on e5 is beautiful, but the b3 pawn is about to fall, and she flagged. She
97!
flagged. She flagged, and she has a fork, and she flagged. Oh my! Oh my! Neither of the players can believe it. Valentina for making a one-move blunder, blundering her rook away, and Elina for not playing 97 in time. Welcome everybody to the grand finale. This is the finals of the Women's Speed Chess Championship between Elina Danielian and Valentina Gunina. So Pico, what are your thoughts on this final battle?
Hi everybody, I'm so excited for the finals. I think it's going to be amazing, and both of the players are so fighting that I'm expecting crazy things. What are your thoughts about it?
I think it's going to be a very exciting match because Valentina Gunina is the favorite, but Elina Danielian has been the underdog in every single match she played, and she also had to find her way into the 8-player knockout system. She won the qualifier tournament, but let's just have a look at the bracket and how the players managed to qualify for the finals.
Sure.
First of all, we had the match of Elina Danielian against the top seed Katerina Lano, and that was a win for Elina. And then she also went on to beat another friend of hers, Harika Dronavali. Both matches were really close. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had Valentina facing Irina Krush. That was the biggest victory. She won 24.25. That was a massive score. And last week, she eliminated her Olympic teammate, Alexandra Kostenyu, coming back from a 4-point deficit, which never happened in speed chess history.
Yeah, and today they are meeting in the final. What's going to happen, we shall see very soon. And who's going to win the biggest prize? I think there are lots of prizes, not only the money prize, but also the winner can go into the Speed Chess Championship, where my husband Anish Giri is also playing, and another ticket is to the FIDE Chess.com Grand Swiss tournament.
Indeed, a lot at stake, and both players are ready. Elina is playing from her home as usual. That has been a luck bringer to her. While Valentina is on holiday, she's in Bali, Indonesia, and it's already past midnight for her. Let's hope that she'll manage with the time difference, and also that the internet will be stable for both players. They both said that the weather is not really good where they are.
Yeah, it's stormy everywhere, and I guess on board it will be a lot of storm also, but let's hope that the weather and the connection gives us a possibility to have them both online. It's very tough for Valentina, I think, to play at the midnight, but I think that probably she's not having very bad times, as she might have a bit of jet lag, and she probably is awake. She seems so, at least.
She seems to be really awake, and Elina has been patiently waiting for Valentina. We started a little bit later because of the connection issues at the hotel where Valentina is staying. Hopefully everything will be stable from now on, and both players will be able to fight for the almost over 3.5 hours battle, together with the breaks and the post-match interview. They're going to be here for us, delighting us with their attacking skills. Both players have showed really good tactical skills.
Yeah.
So, Pico, you are Miss Tactics. What are your thoughts on those attacking games? And will we see many, many rook end games that I am hoping for?
Well, I don't know. Both players play end games also very well, and they are both very sharp. Though in the last match, Valentina was blundering one move things many times. So that's actually what Elina was working on, because before, when in the match against Harika, she told us that she was working on one move tactics, and she was solving a lot of them. So probably she did same for this match also. But Valentina and both Elina, they are both very strong players. So I think it will be very, very close match.
I agree with you. Even though our Smarter Chess prediction says differently, it gives a 77% win probability to Valentina for having a higher rating. And also she has proved to be very strong in our previous matches. I think it's going to be close. So that's also my own prediction, that it will depend on a point or two, as it has been the case for Elina in every single match she played.
Yeah, where's Elina? It's always exciting. And I guess they will never know what's the score and how it goes, because players usually lose the track when it's such a long match and you play so many games. You lose, you win, you lose, you win, and every point is decisive.
Yeah, especially in the bullet, I think they might lose track on the overall result. But we will start with the first portion, that is for 90 minutes. The players have 5 minutes and 1 second increment. This is the first game when Valentina has the white pieces, and the French defense was Elina's choice. I am happy.
Yes, you are. I think you are very happy right now. And what do you think about knight of 3? E4, E6, not D4, but knight of 3.
Interesting move over there, and then it transposes to the exchange variation. So Valentina decided to take on d5 on move 3 and then push d4, and now we reached a classical position of the French exchange. I was wondering earlier, before she went bishop d3, if she was going to play c4 to get the isolated pawn structure against the exchange French, but it seems that for the first game she's going for a very solid setup that is roughly equal as usual, and maybe it's not going to be the most aggressive game, so to say.
Right. Maybe it won't be. I myself played exchange French against French with bishop d3, but usually what I was looking at was bishop d6. Bishop e7 is not a very common move. Usually black just repeats the same bishop d3, bishop d6, and then there are castle, queen e2, a lot of moves. But we have a very typical position right now on the board. White is trying to get the use of this little tempo that she's been the one who started, but probably black manages to equalize fully without any problem.
Indeed. Right now, the question is what's going to happen to the b7 pawn, as it's under the direct attack of the queen on b3, since the bishop is already on h5. While for white, she will still need to develop the c1 bishop, and for that, probably she'll either need to move the knight away from d2 or try to push the b pawn, but that's unlikely as it stands for now.
Yeah, and I think that at some point, black will anyway go bishop d6, because bishop e7 is not doing anything much on e7. Usually the plans connected with bishop d6, or she might go for more aggressive c5.
Rook b8 to defend the pawn, and I'm curious how Valentina will continue, because she will need to try to regroup her pieces. The problem is that even if she goes rook e1, it's still not possible to move the d2 knight away. So rook e1 is very logical because that's the only open file, but she will need to do something about the f3 knight before she goes knight f1. And g4 is a very aggressive move that is not that typical in such a solid structure.
I guess another thing is that she can go knight e5, rook e1 supports knight e5, and then maybe knight d2 comes to f3, and then bishop f4. It will look ideal for white. Though after knight e5, white should, of course, consider knight e5, and she wants to take with d pawn or the rook.
Yeah, I agree with you that knight e5 is the most straightforward continuation, and also the most in style of Valentina. She will try to create something complex, even if the position itself is symmetrical. Valentina is known for creating chaos out of nowhere.
Yeah, that is true. And knight e5 is on the board now. It is about Elina, how she wants to continue with bishop d6 or rook e8, because she can probably leave the knight where it is, or continue. Yeah, rook e8 is on the board. I expect knight d2 f3.
That will be the logical follow-up. Oh, f4.
Oh, that's nice.
That's more committal, but it makes a lot of sense, and she is basically threatening to trap the bishop on h5 and then on g6 by pushing f5.
Oh, that's very nice. G4, F5 is a big threat right now, and I'm very happy to see F4 on the board. Not the normal development probably was also possible with knight F3, bishop F4, but F4 is more aggressive. Knight E5, D takes E5.
And the bishop still will be threat. I don't really see what Elina will have against it. She
Maybe
can jump
bishop
to
c5,
c5,
queen
knight or
h4.
bishop c5, queen h4 afterwards. Yeah, there's some danger too because of g4 opening up the king side of white, and if the black queen appears on h4, as Sopiko said, after the check on c5, that can be dangerous for Valentina too. So she plays queen c2, attacking the h7 pawn, bishop c5 check.
Bishop c5, king h1, and still queen h4. I guess it is still double attack because the rook is hanging and the pawn on f4 is also hanging. But after king h2, queen h4, maybe g3, white can play g3 and have no problems.
Yes, I don't think that Elina will go for queen h4 because of the move that you have mentioned, g3, attacking the queen and protecting the pawn, and then g4 could happen next move. So g4, f5 is still in the air, threatening to trap the black bishop. But wait,
Wow.
now if f5...
Bishop g6, that's provocative.
And so if f5, she'll want to go back to h5, and in case of g4, I just want to show it real quick that there are tactics. So if f4, bishop h5, g4 would be a mistake because black can take on g4 and win the rook on e1 with queen h4 check.
Yeah, tactics on the board. That's what we like. Now the bishops
That's what
are
you
on.
like.
Yeah.
I like it too. To be honest, I like it, but I'm not good at it. That's the two
You're
different
perfect.
things. No. Rook e2, potentially doubling rooks on the e file or bringing the other rook over to f1. But now, after queen b6, the question will be, can black ever take on b2? Looks scary, but Valentina says, I would rather not see queen takes b2.
Yeah, and I agree with her. I like the pawn structure. She has the pawn on e5 looks very good, and I like Elina's play because she eliminates now the queen and the threats of attack and mate, and it makes sense because in endgames this e5 pawn might be a weakness.
They traded queens on a6, which doubled the a pawns for Elina, but immediately she goes for a4 to try to open up the b file. I wonder if these pawns will get into trouble, though, now that they are still doubled and isolated. And c4, immediately opening up the position and trying to create a c6 weakness.
c4 is a very nice move, also using the fact that now bishop d2 is really doing something. It defends the b4 pawn, and c4 could be played. After d takes c4, Elina's position looks very ugly because of the pawn structures and ruined pawn structure. d4, I think, is also an option, but Elina goes for a quiet move, just giving the space to the king.
Yeah, f5. Look at how Valentina is playing. We started out as a French exchange, and now the pawn structure is anything but symmetrical. I love the way how she's giving space on both flanks. f5 takes away the e6 and g6 squares from the black knight, and in the future she could try to create a passed pawn by pushing e6.
Yeah, after c takes d5, rook c6 or rook c7 looks also very strong. I think that Valentina is playing very strong at the moment. She is playing very strong moves and getting the initiative on both flanks, actually, on the king side and on the queen side as well. And she is using the weaknesses also, the a6, a4, d5. They are all weaknesses for black.
Yes, the pawn structure of Elina is really vulnerable, and the rook already is attacking the a6 pawn. She comes out of the b8 h2 diagonal so that black cannot push f6 to target the e5 pawn, and now Elina wants to create counter attack by pushing her d passed pawn, potentially also placing the rook later on d5 d3. That's a passed pawn, but it's blocked by the d2 bishop.
Yeah, and that's Elina's strength. We've seen in her matches very often that she's using all resources that her position gives. D4, D3 is the only way she can get the counter chance. And now after E6, Knight F6, maybe at some point she can use the back rank as well and the E file.
She took on f7, and then she places her e-rook on e6, so in case of a capture, she can even take back with the f pawn, knight d5 to activate the knight. But this looks just a few moves away from a decisive advantage for Valentina, who takes the a pawn as well. Now it's 2 pawns here, but the e pawn drops after f takes e6. Maybe I was too optimistic about White's chances, because now I don't like the rook on a4. She'll need to bring it back through the 6th rank, potentially. Knight d4 check.
Yeah, but White still has an extra pawn, and Elina has 10 seconds, which is very, very little, 10 seconds. And this position, it doesn't give me big hope.
I agree with you that time trouble plus having to defend a pawn down endgame, this is really bad news. She can take on b4, but that will allow a pin with rook b3, although the knight can defend the
96.
rook, and then White can take on d3. So that's still an extra pawn. Some chances for Black to defend, but 3 seconds left. Oof.
That's not much. That's really not much. Now, actually, a3 has to be played, because after a4, rook a2, a5, then just... Oh, maybe there are tactics with knight e5, rook d7, rook a7.
Bishop c3. She gives up the a2 pawn to take on g7 instead. But does she want to play that 2 versus 1 rook endgame, really?
Well, when your opponent has 4 seconds, you want to play anything, I guess.
I still think that Elina will manage to defend this, because 2 versus 1 rook endgames supposed to be drawn. Yes, she has only 4 seconds left, and the increment is only 1 second, but I think she will manage to make a draw out of this position. What do you think, Sopiko?
I agree with you. She has amazing skills to play very fast and very precise in the end games. I remember her games against Katerina Lachno and also against Harika, when Harika had advantage, but she managed with her mouse skills and resources just to either make a draw, or even sometimes she won the games.
Yeah, she's incredibly strong even when there's no time, but she should not flag. And I saw it went down to 1 second, like a move 0.9 second when Elina made a move.
That's very tough. I guess it is very tricky, because she cannot make pre-move. And 0.06. Oh my God.
Oh, and it didn't go back to 1.6. What's going on? I think it's just my clock that's not updating correctly. She has 1.6 seconds with the 1 second increment, but it's still no time.
Yeah.
1.7 now. Oh.
That's very tough. Rook a7, rook g7. Can she make pre-moves? It's going to be really, really tough.
It's just so difficult for Black that she cannot make any pre-move, because Valentina could try to go for a trickier move that would be like something like rook f7 when it's not a check, and then win the rook. But Elina has defended correctly and repetition of moves, so it's a draw. Wow, what an escape by Elina.
Indeed, really, her skills really showed up to defend this position. Also, Valentina was not precise enough. She had a very good advantage, I think, but we have a lot of games ahead. And now what we have on board is the normal, again, symmetric. They like to play symmetric.
The Queen's Gambit declined, and this time it's going to be possibly an isolated pawn structure after the capture on d4, and Black can either now or later, normally later, take on c4, and we will reach the structure where White has the isolated pawn, which is a structural weakness, but it gives activity to White's pieces. It's a very exciting middle game position to discuss.
It is. And Black usually tries to wait until she takes on c4, not to give the f1 bishop to develop in one move. Usually now White has to play bishop e2 or bishop e3 or take on d5. And once the bishop is out, then Black can think of d takes c4.
Exactly, that is the right plan. And before we move on to the middle game and the rest of the analysis, let's just remind everybody that this is the first time that Chess.com has ever organized a Women's Speed Chess Championship. $20,000 has been the prize fund. This is the grand finale. 3,000 goes to the winner, and the other 3,000 is divided by win percentage. But the players have been already winning throughout each and every match they played, and we would like to know your opinion on how did you enjoy this tournament, and who shall we invite for next year? That's the daily question, and use the hashtag SpeedChess if you want to let us know who shall be invited to next year's event. This time it was an 8-player field, 7 of them were invited, and Elina Danielian qualified through a qualifier tournament.
Yeah, and of course, let us know who do you support? Who do you think will win the final? Elina Danielian from Armenia or Valentina Gunina, 3 times European champion, a record holder. She holds so many records. So, I mean, she holds now the Chess.com record and the European Championship. Wow, she's amazing.
Indeed, and Elina herself, she has won the Armenian Championship 6 times and has represented Armenia at Chess Olympiads 12 times, which means 24 years at the top of her country, leading her national team.
Yeah, that's really a lot. And what do we have on the board? Looks like very comfortable for both sides. I think that once again, there is a question if this e5 pawn is weakness or a strength. I generally don't like e5 pawn when it's not supported with f4 and when we don't have queens on the board. I think in the end game, it might be a problem. And I have to say that I like tiny bit more Black's position.
I think I would also pick black because I really like the knight on d5, now the bishop on c5, and this e5 pawn can become vulnerable, but it's just a tiny advantage that I would say for black as a personal preference. I think the position should be around equal or maybe even advantage for white because white still has more space. And now she has pushed h4, Harry going up the board. It has been so popular to push the flank pawn ever since the Alpha Zero games came out.
Yeah, I know. H4, we see it all the times in every game, in top games, of course. And it makes a real sense because generally the structure you want to, the pawn structure you want to achieve is f2, g3, h4, and h4 takes some space, also doesn't allow g5. I like it very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bishop goes to e1. That's an interesting choice, but it wasn't doing much on d2, and now white can try to, for instance, use the d5 for the rooks. It's not so simple to decide how do you want to continue because it's just so stable. The knight on d5 supported by the e6 pawn, by the bishop as well, and the rooks are fine on d8 and c8. So we are still yet to see how Elina will try to create some chances, or will it be Valentina who starts playing for a win?
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like this position for black. I think that both players now manage time pretty nicely. I think that Elina shouldn't take much time. G3, King G2 seems like the normal plan, but black also has her things going on Queen side. Bishop A4, for instance.
Yes, after knight d4, bishop a4 is an option. And now white shall react. You can't move the rook because of the c1 rook hanging, so she probably will have to take on c8.
Yeah.
And that gives up the c5. So black is achieving something. At the same time, the knight on d5 has lost some support, and she will have to take back with the e-pawn in case of a capture.
Yeah, this looks really good for black, I think, because now she cannot have the c-file, and a3 pawn is a weakness. If she wants to stay on the first rank, then she should go rook b1 or rook a1, and after knight c3, black can take one of the bishops and put pressure on a3 pawn.
Yes, black has taken the initiative because of this bishop a4 move, the rook having the open c file, and yes, the d file is also open, but there are two knights in the way of the white rook, so this is looking good for Valentina one more time. But let's not forget that Elina is an escape artist.
Yeah, she is. Rook c1 now, h4 pawn is hanging. Yeah,
and it has been captured.
Pawn and it has been captured.
Pawn up and time up. It's over a minute and a half time advantage for Valentina, who's playing from Bali. She's on holidays after the candidates tournament. That was a very tiring and tough competition for her. So she was planning her holidays to Indonesia when she decided that after the candidates, she will need some time off.
Yeah, and that's great location. I've been there. Very much recommended. I'm jealous.
I haven't been to Indonesia yet, but I am jealous too. Yes.
And what's going on? Shall we try to regroup with maybe bishop d7, bishop c8, bishop a6? That doesn't make much sense because b5 and we would miss our bishop on a4.
It
But
was an interesting idea, but maybe it's okay on a4 right now because it is taking so many squares away from white that would be crucial. Rook d1, rook b3, all those squares would be needed at some point, I feel like. So far, it's black who has more active pieces and an extra pawn. It's looking great for Valentina one more time.
it is, and h5 is a very nice move because after h4, white cannot take because of knight f4, and if white lets hg or h3, it's going to be very dangerous.
We have to see how Elina will try to defend. She'll need to create counterplay, but where is the counterplay? The pawn chain is very healthy for black. Only vulnerable pawn would be in this case right now the a7 pawn, that is difficult to attack, and the h5 pawn can easily be defended if needed with g6, or black can push h4.
Yeah, it is very difficult to find some counterplay. Rook a1 looks very good now to put the pressure on. Oh, check. That's even nicer.
That could be problems. Well, luckily white is just in time to move out from a potential discovered check with bishop to c2. But still, look at the piece set up for white. It's not healthy, and there can be tactics. h4, trying to get the f4 square later for the black knight, and only the d2 bishop is taking care of it after the capture on h4.
Yeah, and oh, knight f4 we cannot play for now, but we can take bishop h4.
Yes, in the future that will be a tactical motive. I'm pretty sure that black will try to go for some kind of a deflection tactical element where this bishop will be overloaded, since it has to guard the f4 square, not to allow that fork.
But now the problem with bishop h4 maybe is the rook h3 move. That's why Valentina didn't take it back. Maybe h4 was not precise because after g6, now white can even take on d5 and play bishop c3.
Indeed, it seems that h4 was not precise, and Elina is taking her chances. She took on h4 and now she protects the pawn. It's equal material once again, and white can also start her attack by jumping to c6 to try to target the a7 pawn and also the bishop on e7.
Yeah, I have to say that it doesn't look that bad anymore for white. I think I would even like it to take on d5 and play maybe e6 at some point.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea, capturing the knight on d5, which had a really nice spot there. E6 or knight c6, a combination of those ideas. 23 seconds left for Elina and a minute and a half for Valentina, but the position clearly has improved in favor of the six-time Armenian champion.
Yeah, and Elina is showing great skills so far. She's using every chance that Valentina is giving her so far. It seems that Valentina gets advantage in the opening and also in time, but Elina is very, very hard not to crack.
I think I have swapped places with Valentina. I'm afraid I'm not really in shape to jump in instead of Valentina, but hopefully it's just a temporary issue with the cameras. I'm gonna have a look at the technical setup. I may have messed up things because I'm capable of clicking on the wrong window.
Right, and what do we have? The d5 pawn is still hanging, but for now it's untouchable because of rook a3 and the pin. I didn't like knight f3 so much, but I thought that knight c6 or e6 would be more active for white, but this also seems okay. It seems that Elina is once again escaping from a very poor position.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's once again happening that Elina, from a very difficult situation where she was material down and also her position was worse, she has found her way back into the game. And it means that for Valentina, it's very frustrating that she has played two games where she had both of them with winning chances, and she's gonna be just getting another draw from this one, unless something happens with both players down to 12 seconds. Anything can happen.
Anything. Rook a3 has to be played very fast now. King f4, and should we give check? King e4, rook f2, king e3, rook f5 looks more normal. Uh-oh, king g7, f4, and knight e7.
Ooh, the rook is trapped on f5 and knight e7 attacks the rook. Plus, it's almost mate 2. Oh my, Valentina in trouble. And she flags. She flagged.
Oh my God, she flagged, but the position was already very bad.
Yeah, incredible. From a pawn up endgame, Valentina Gunina ends up losing on time, but also the position was already lost for her. What a turn of events.
Yeah, Elina is amazing. You should never relax when you have good position because she will find the even like very, very little chance that gives her counter chances. She will use it.
Yeah, that's what she has done in the previous matches too. And I'm sure that Valentina had a look at those games. She didn't want to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of her opponent. We always ask before the match the players to give us some thoughts on how they prepared for the match, what they think about their opponent, and so on and so on. But Valentina didn't want to reveal anything about what she considered the strengths or the weakness of Elina. Right? Elina, of course, praised the tactical skills of Valentina and how she can create chaos out of nowhere.
Yeah, they are both great players, and what we have on the board looks like. For me, I don't really like it for black because I think it's a very passive opening once white achieves to play e4. But of course, black has two bishops and potential chances to break into the center.
Mm-hmm. It is going to be now after d5 even more space for white, and black shall decide how to react because the d6 pawn is a target after d takes e6. So if you push e5, that will mean that you keep the d5 closed, but it also closes everything else, including this bishop on b7 that will need to find another diagonal, maybe even come back to c8 at some point. Knight e5 is a more pleasant way of defending the d6 pawn, so to say, instead of closing with e5.
Yeah, and after 95, bishop e5, unfortunately, white cannot. Of course, she can play f4, but it's not so attractive because of bishop d4, and then the d4 square would be very, very good square for the bishop. After e takes d5, 95 happened on the board, and I'm just interested how Valentina will go on. Will she try to create chances with f4 anyway, or she will find a way to ignore the d4 square and get some play on the queen side?
So far, we just see the thematical move h4, which has happened in almost every single game, not just today, but in general at the Speed Chess Championships and in other tournaments as well. It's a very popular choice. I know it existed before AlphaZero 2, but I like the connection between the AI games and how it influenced players such as the world champion Magnus Carlsen, who said it himself that his style has changed since those games and since the help of his second Daniel Dubov.
Yeah. h4 is a very nice move. Bishop a6 now forces white to weaken the queen side a bit because white has to play b3. But I don't see big problems because the c3 knight is protected, and maybe even white can go, oh, okay, trade. Trade is on the board, bishop c3, queen c3. And now the question is, whose bishop is better? I don't like bishop on a6, but b5, with b5, it helps to get some play in.
Yes, she's trying to open the position up by pushing b5. I agree with you that this is a very passive piece, while the bishop on e4 is enjoying loads of squares, mobility, attacking the h7 pawn, potentially building up a queen bishop battery to attack the king side. It's still not that simple for white either to make that much of a progress, but it's looking good for Valentina one more time, which hasn't meant anything. The score is a 1-point advantage for Elina after two really bad positions.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now black can decide to close the queen side or to trade on c4. Trading on c4, I find it more logical because then we can use the weakness of c4 pawn. B takes c4, b takes c4, rook b4 for now looks to me like the logical continuation after queen c2, but we should not drop the h7 pawn, of course.
The queen bishop battery is on the board attacking the h7 pawn, so h6 is a logical continuation. Now, the question will be, how do you proceed if you want to attack more on the king side? But that would mean tearing up white's pawn structure. So I don't think we will ever see g4, g5 in this game, even if it's Valentina with the white pieces.
Well, I would go for it. I think that rook e3, h5, f4,
All
g4,
right.
rook g3
I talked too soon, but yes, first white should solve the problem of the h4 pawn as it depends on the g3 pawn. But as Sofika said, she sees potential by pushing it to h5 and f4, g4. Listen to his tactics, because I would just simply play rook e3, double rooks on the e5, and then play an endgame.
Well, I think your line is more logical because after rook e3, rook e1, it's nice to have the e file. And if we go for h5, f4, g4, then we weaken, of course. We want to attack, but we weaken the king side as well. Rook e2 is another way, but after rook e2, Valentina is clearly saying that she does not want to attack. She doesn't want any kind of h5, f4. She just wants to double rook e2 and rook e8, is it possible? Should we give the b5 pawn or is too much?
Oh, you want to sacrifice the b5 pawn as black because that will weaken the d5 pawn. Interesting choice if you want to trade rooks with rook e8. Or shall she take on c4 or push b4 and then aim for rook e8? But it may not be enough if you push b4. That's a tempo that white can use to double rook. So she decides to take, and now she can play rook e8. Oh, bishop c8 also makes perfect sense because, as Sofika said, the bishop was really poor on a6.
Yeah, after bishop c8, bishop has many moves now. Bishop g4, bishop h3, many squares for the bishop. Also, rook b4 and rook b8 is another way. I think that this position turns into black's favor. I have such feeling.
That will be the tendency so far in the match, that Valentina starts very well. She gets some advantage. In this game, it wasn't that much of an advantage, but in the previous game, for instance, the one she lost, she was a pawn up and had positional advantage on top of the extra pawn. So it's really amazing how she misses her chances, and at the same time, Elina keeps fighting, keeps believing, even when she's down on time.
Yeah, I think after rook b4, rook b1 is the move to be played, because if you let black to play bishop g4 with tempo and rook b8, then it would be very difficult. Or a3 is also another option.
That chases the rook back. Rook b7 has happened after the pawn push. Now white can go for doubling rooks on the e file, and it's not going to be simple for black to trade with rook e8 or rook e7. Both are guarded. Those squares. Rook b1. She decides to trade the b7 rook. Interesting.
Yeah. I think it makes sense because after bishop g4, rook b8 would be anyway very annoying for white, and after rook b1, bishop cannot move, and if rook b1, bishop queen b1, then it is white who has the b file and the idea of rook b2.
Yes, indeed, I can show what Sofika mentioned, that if white simply doubled rooks on the e5, that would have given chances to black as well because of bishop g4. Already the f3 square. It's almost a mating net around the white king because of the weak light squares. And on top of that, later the other rook can come to b8 and try to enter the position with rook b2. So black would take the initiative.
Yeah. Now black has to create something on king's side, because queen side is already in white's favor. Queen b7 can be played. Rook cannot come to b8 so easily, and e file is also gone. I think I like it for white right now because white got many files.
I agree with you. The two open files are both in control of white. And the only thing is that she will need to be careful about the f3, h3 square still because of this bishop on g4. But the rook is doing a great job not allowing queen f3 check and bishop h3 to try to give mate.
I thought that instead of g6, maybe it would be more aggressive to play g5 because we want to use the h file. After hg, hg, queen h8 or queen h6 could make good sense to create counterplay on king side.
Well, Sopiko sees the attacking potential for black. It's something I wouldn't have imagined, but she's right because the queen side is all for white. Now the a5 pawn is about to drop, and that's going to be one more time a pawn up for Valentina. So black has to create active counterplay, and I think you are on point. G5 should come at some point, perhaps already, like right now.
Yeah, King G7 is on the board, and after Queen A5, that's why I think Valentina is taking time. Rook B8 seems to be annoying. After Queen A5, Rook B8, Rook B2 is a threat, and F2 pawn is vulnerable, and you don't want to just get an extra pawn and have inferior position.
Mm-hmm. This is the first time that Valentina has also not much time. It's 40 seconds left for both players. Earlier, she was very quick and she had always a minute or two time advantage and not just this positional advantage or extra pawn. So everything was in favor of Valentina, but she didn't manage to use her chances. And now she's more cautious. That's what I can see. An extra pawn now after Queen A5 and Queen E1 comes back to defend on F2 if needed and attack the bishop.
Yeah, offering a4 pawn, but it would be dangerous to take a4, bishop a4, because after rook f3, the f7 pawn might be very, actually where the queen goes first. Queen e5 or queen d4. Queen e5 looks more logical because after queen d4, queen e7 is annoying.
It happened in the game, so we shall see what's gonna be the continuation of Valentina after Queen e5. They can repeat moves with Rook e3, Queen f6, but first of all, it's not obligatory. Secondly,
Queen e5, Queen a5, Rook f7 tactics. Oh, sorry.
Really? Oh wait, they are repeating. I think this is gonna be a draw
Okay.
because both players are down on time, and 3-4 repetition happen.
I thought Queen a5 was the winning, but yeah.
This was an interesting game, but I think the result was fair enough, since that it was Elina who had to defend a slightly worse position, but it wasn't as bad as the pawn down and positional disadvantage that she had in game 2, the one she actually ended up winning.
Yeah, and now we again have the offbeat opening, but with c4 we transpose into the main lines with bishop d6. Now probably white will go b3, bishop d2, bishop b2, knight c3, and we will have this very, very theoretical position on the board.
Elina likes this kind of setup, playing the queen's pawn openings and then going for the fianchet towing of the bishop with b3, bishop b2. So I think she feels very comfortable in this kind of setups. But Valentina herself is a d4 player, so both players are playing these moves pretty quickly. It was Elina who spent 30 seconds to get to this point.
Yeah, and after c5, white can have the black is offering to have hanging pawns, d takes c5. Now black can choose between b takes c5 or isolated pawn, bishop c5. I like b takes c5 because after knight bd7, we have all pieces on on the right squares actually for the hanging pawns. And white has to continue with normal b3, bishop b2, and not allow any c4 or d4.
This is another interesting middle game position. We have seen earlier the isolated pawn and the hanging pawns structure is basically a brother or sister of the isolated pawns because it can transpose from an isolated pawn structure. I think it's very useful for club players to study middle game structures based on pawn structures, so that you don't just study the opening, but you also take more time understanding what are the plans when it's an isolated pawn, what are the plans when you have hanging pawns, and so on, depending on what one's opening repertoire is and what positions you achieve in the middle game.
I agree with you completely. It's very useful to know the plans in against the hanging pawns or isolated pawns, because many openings actually can with these pawns you can play many openings.
Indeed. So it can arise from e4, d4, c4 openings. It's a universal middle game that comes from many different kind of opening variations. And in terms of this position, we shall see how the game will develop. Placing the bishop on f5 is thematical, and also, as Topiko said, b3, bishop b2, bringing the rook to the c file. White will try to put pressure on these pawns, because if she can force black to make these pawns not as flexible as they are flexible when they are standing next to each other, but if you force black somehow, if you manage to force black to push c4, that will create an outpost for the knight on d4, and the pawns themselves, the d5 pawn, will become weak.
Yeah, and what black is trying to do is to break through. Sometimes there are a lot of great games, but I remember a game of Garry Kasparov breaking through with d4 and creating a genius attack on the king side. There is potential of a good attack, and I think that it's very dangerous to play against hanging pawns if you don't, if you're not prophylactic enough and don't limit black's options.
I fully agree with you that d4 is one of the thematical pawn sacrifices or breakthroughs with the hanging pawns, and the Kasparov game you mentioned is one of my favorite model games too. We shall see if it's going to happen in this game. Valentina is definitely a very skillful attacking player. She always finds a way to create mess over the board, and usually the tactics work in her favor, but she hasn't found her way yet in this match. She is struggling to convert her advantages. She had good positions, but she didn't manage to score.
Yeah, now knight e5 looks to me very interesting, because black forces white to do something about the knight. If knight e5, queen e5, then mate is a big threat. But rook d8 is also a normal continuation. Rook c8, rook fd8 was also possible, but then it's unpleasant to have the pin.
Now that the bishop has been developed, the rook can also come, but she instead creates a spot on d1 for the a1 rook by placing the rook on e1, and that hints at a potential breakthrough with e4 in the right moment.
Yeah, I think first rook d1 or c1 will be played, and rook e8, of course. E4 has to be always considered from both sides, how to play against it, and you want to play e4 or not. But so far, they are both playing waiting moves and putting their pieces on good squares.
Knight e5 is the first direct encounter between the pieces. White will need to either take or protect the f3 knight, because you don't want to allow the doubling of the pawns on f3. And if white takes, we shall see how black wants to take back. Queen takes e5 with a direct threat on h2 is one option, although bishop takes e5 is more natural, because a one move threat at this high level is usually not enough.
Yeah. Bishop e5 looks very good. Also, it creates something like, for example, after knight a4, we have to either take it, and I like to take it, bishop to knight b2, and maybe bishop c8. Oh, queen b2 is on the board.
I like that move, because it now, after the trade of bishops, it is the queen that takes the role of the bishop, controlling the entire long diagonal. The knight on e4 too is well placed, so both players are doing their best activating their pieces.
Yeah, and after rook c1, black has to do something to protect the c5 pawn, because afterwards queen a3 might be also a problem. Now bishop c6, knight c5. Cannot I take knight c5, queen c3?
Tactics.
Tactics.
Topiko wants to sacrifice a piece temporarily and then win it back because of the c5 pin. These pieces will be hanging after the capture on c5, and the queen will attack the knight. But instead, Elina goes for knight c3. She may have missed her chance. I also didn't see a refutation to your idea. And now knight g5 is annoying, because the bishop is hanging, and you shouldn't allow g takes h3, that doubling of the pawns.
Oh, d4, that's so nice. This is the danger of this position, that once black gets active moves and initiative, then it's very difficult for white to do something about it.
Yeah, I just quickly want to show that it was not possible to take on d4 because of the back rank rook. The rook is taken on e1, and then rook takes e1 is mate. d4 came just in the right moment, and now that's a d post pawn.
Yeah, it looks very, very bad for white right now.
But once again, we have seen worse positions for Elina, haven't we?
Yes, we did. But if we take now HG5, HG4, and after HG5, just play D2, I
Mhm.
think the position is very, very bad.
Valentina goes for knight h7, saying that you need to move your bishop too, and then goes for the advance that you mentioned. The pawn is very strong
Exchange.
pass pawn, but also now winning an exchange with bishop to b5. Still, the game goes on,
Yeah.
and I would not say just yet that this is lost for Elina because she is an artist of escaping from really bad positions.
She's a magician.
She is a magician. You are right.
But now H4 pawn is
Even the
also
pawn.
lost. And the time is also in Valentina's favor. So I think Valentina will manage to win this game. It looks completely winning, and then we will have equal score.
But it's just incredible that for how strong Valentina is, three-time European champion, won the Olympic gold with Team Russia. This is going to be the first game when she's actually converting her advantage. Elina has fought so hard in every single game that it's taking Valentina way more effort than usual to get the full point, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with you. This looks hopeless. It really does. After rook b8, having the b file also, and also an option to take on h3, then play g5, or not to hurry with it, maybe knight e4, rook b1, king g7. Any move you make, it looks very bad for white.
Yeah, only hope would be some kind of an attack over the long diagonal and a knight jump. But I agree that this should be a completely lost position for Elina. 13 seconds left for the Armenian champion, and Valentina still has almost 2 full minutes.
Yeah, king on h6 is very, very nice. Oh, knight f3, nice tactics. And
Beautiful
black.
finish. And this means that Valentina Gunina ties the score. It's 2-2, but we still have over 44 minutes left from the portion where the players have 5 minutes plus 1 second increment as a time control. And another French defense is on the board. Anna is happy.
Anna is happy, but I'm very surprised that Elina is not changing and she's not flexible enough so far, because in the previous match, we've seen that she was jumping from one opening to another in every game.
I wonder if she didn't expect e4s that often from Valentina, because she does change her opening from game to game, but not as often as other players. So normally Valentina Gunina would play d4 openings.
Yeah, normally she is a d4 player, but she also plays e4, and she has herself a lot of experience in this type of structures, because Valentina herself is playing the Caracan, the French as
Mm-hmm.
well, and against d4 she's playing the Slav openings.
Yeah, this is a theoretical battle. And those of you who wonder about the name of this exact line, it's the Winawer variation, but Chess.com also tells you the exact line, and it's called the Petrosian variation. I think that's very fitting that Elina is playing the Petrosian variation of the Winawer. She lives in Yerevan, she is Armenian, and Petrosian, of course, has been the great champion that every Armenian citizen knows, not just chess players. Everybody in Armenia, I believe, knows.
Yeah, I think so as well. H4, H5 is still on the board. Nearly in every game, we have the Alpha Zero move, as Anna
Yeah.
say.
Or
And
Mikhail Tal or other champions too, but I think lately it has become the Alpha Zero trend, yes.
yeah, it looks very bad, I think, for black, because the f8 bishop doesn't have good squares to develop. And what to do about the king? Should we castle alongside? Should we play for short castle? What do you think?
Good question. Normally, when white pushes h4, h5, the idea is not that you want to castle there, but try to attack. At the same time, you don't really want to leave the king in the middle of the board forever, and castle queenside means usually that the c5 will open. I think for now white will wait because the black king too is struggling, and it's still very comfortable for white because of having more space. The knight is very well placed on f4, targeting the backward e6 pawn. And in general, I like white's position here.
Yeah, I agree with you. White has more space, especially with this h4, h5, and white's pieces are developed. Now, bishop e7 is not an option as the g7 pawn is hanging. Long castle is one of the ways, but then white has ideas to start attack on the queen side.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Valentina will go for castle kingside now and then try to attack, or first start an attack and she can say, I have the right to castle at any point, so she's not in a hurry castling kingside?
I don't know about her, but I would play b4 there because I like to take the initiative as soon as possible. I don't think that castle is we have to castle at all because the king so far seems to be safe. But I have to say that I really disliked the d takes c5 move.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she thought that if she had pushed b4 instead of the capture, I'm just going to go back there quickly. b4 was Sopiko's idea. She may have been afraid of c4 closing down the position, so she instead took on c5. But I agree with you that that move has its drawbacks. It allowed the development of the bishop, even though after b4 the bishop has to go back. But the e5 pawn has become a target because of the missing d4 pawn.
Yeah, and then the king is not so safe in the center because at some point d4 might be played.
Yes, that's a potential breakthrough for black. So white will at some point need to castle. And if you castle kingside, black will also try to attack by pushing g6 or g5.
Yeah, rook g8 is a nice move. It prepares g5 or g6. And now what to do? What to do with the king?
Good
Should
question.
we play bishop g5 first, bishop e7, and then maybe start to attack with a4 so that we don't allow g5?
I think you are right that somehow this g pawn should be stopped. Bishop g5 is one way to try to block at least the g5 square. Attack the d8 rook. Bishop e7 is a possibility there. So white decides to castle immediately. And now we shall see if Elina will play g6 or g5, but she will definitely start a kingside attack.
Yeah, bishop e7 is also another way then to start g5. For example, a4, g5. But there is maybe no continuation of the attack because white is not obliged to take hg6.
Mm-hmm. It is not an obligation, even though if white does not take, then these pawns can go and be pushed to f4, g4, and f3 or g3, but white is doing the same on the queen side. Opposite side castling is always a very exciting middle game to comment on because both players are trying to give mate, and whose attack will be faster, that will decide the result.
Yeah, I agree with you. G5, f4 has some potential with f3. F4. That's very risky, isn't it? If we take it, why do we open the g4? G5.
Maybe she felt like she wanted to close down the position. So after g4, it would make sense. But I agree that g takes f4. Oh, queen f2. But who is being tricked by who? It did look like that it could be tricky, but the a7 pawn so far is under the control of the c6 knight. And now black has the g5. Elina is taking initiative.
I don't like it. I really dislike f4 move. Maybe she thought that a7 pawn was hanging, but a7 pawn is not hanging. And now black got very easy play on g file. That's actually, she couldn't even dream of opening g file. So
yeah, I think Valentina's idea was partially that after the capture, she has the f4 square for her knight. But I agree with you that it seems like a dubious plan where it is black who has now good chances of attack.
Yeah, now bishop g5, bishop h4, or maybe king b8 at some point. I don't see any attack on the queen side from white.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the knight on c6 is a key piece, and also the knight on c7. We don't usually see knights on c7 or c2, but this one is a very useful piece defending the b5 pawn. So I think for now, Elina has once again a good chance. From a position that seemed very comfortable for white, suddenly I would definitely take black.
Yeah, and now d4 looks very nice, doesn't it? Because after c takes d4, knight d4 is killing, and if you don't take it, then b4 pawn, looks very
And
nice.
indeed, Elina goes for Sopiko's idea, breaking through in the center, creating the d4 square for the knight, and that would be a fork. And if white wants to push c4, the b4 pawn is vulnerable. So she decides to play knight to f2, but this is looking all so suspicious.
It is. Shall we take on c3 or we should leave it as it is the question right now because in whose favor is the tension in the center? In whose favor is d4, c3 tension?
Good question. C4 has just been pushed because, of course, white still wants to open up the queen side and attack the black king on b8. So C4 is a good chance, I think. This game has become very complicated. A6 to strengthen the b5 square, and now h6. Oh, wow. Pawn pushes on both flanks.
Wow, that's very interesting. What is going on here? I thought that maybe at some point black can take on g2, knight g2, and if black manages to play, let's say bishop f8, bishop h6, queen g7 very quickly, then the attack might be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. The rook comes to the c5, that's very logical, and then white at some point will take on b5 to attack on the c5, but now black simply plays bishop f8, pointing out that the h6 pawn is vulnerable.
Yeah, it is. C takes b5 was a big decision because it allowed black to play knight b5, which looks very good square for the knight, blockading the attack on the queen side and supporting the d4 pawn. Maybe d3 is also at some point an idea.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you that it would be interesting at in the right moment to push d3 to blockade the d4 square for the black knights. Now, knight h5, threatening a fork, triple fork on f6.
But we can take rook g2, queen g2, rook g2, and knight e5. I don't like it for white.
White has to give up the queen for two rooks, and then the e5 pawn drops as well. It has gone wrong for Valentina, it seems, but there are still ideas because of the pin now. Bishop d6 could be a way to deal with the pin.
Or bishop d6. Take, and look at these pawns, d4, e6, f5 pawns. It's disaster for white, isn't it? Two rooks, this time it doesn't work, I think.
Yeah, but Elina only has 18 seconds left, and this is a massive position. I think this is three possible results that can come out from this almost endgame, where it's a queen versus two rooks and very strong passed pawns for black, but no time. And there are tricks with the knight on the board.
I agree with you. Though the pawns in the center looks very, very good for black. E5, E4, knight f6. We can just go queen c6, attacking the f6 knight and also pinning the rook.
Mm-hmm. Queen to c6. Now, as you said, this long diagonal pin is annoying, and we also attack the knight, which meant that Valentina actually resigned. Sometimes happens in this format of the Speeches Championship that players resign earlier than what they would normally do because they want to get a new game. There's a limited time, still 33 minutes left for this portion, but if Valentina had kept that game going and she would end up losing it anyway, she prefers to have a new game and more time.
Yeah, and now we have knight f3, knight f6, c4 on the board. Now it's time for Valentina to show us what does she want. She wants to play c6 or e6. She normally plays both lines here, but I think it's very rare when she takes on c4.
Definitely. Now this is 1 point lead for Elina. And I'll just remind everybody, all 3,600 of you, shout out to everybody, by the way, joining us on Twitch and Chess TV. Welcome to the grand finale. This is it. After 50 days of Speeches Championship for the top female players in the world, today we will know who's going to be the winner, the overall winner, after $20,000 have been on the line every single match. That was the prize fund for the entire event. And the winner will not only get today's share of $3,000 and the percentage of the other $3,000, but also a ticket to the overall Speeches Championship, where Sopiko's husband, Anish Giri, is the top seed, and Hikaru Nakamura is also in the field. And the FIDE Grand Swiss in the Isle of Man, organized by Chess.com, is another ticket that the winner of today will receive.
A lot of things, great prizes, and definitely both of these players are trying their best to win the final match and get everything. What I see in the matches, I think that this A6 line became very popular because early in every match, I have a feeling that they really worked on A6 and they think that, yeah, you don't have an advantage. Show me, where is it?
True, that is what Valentina is saying. And now she goes for g5. That's an aggressive move to gain space on the king side and knight h5, going for the g3 bishop.
Yeah. One move that white can play is bishop e5 to provoke f6, but f6 wouldn't be great because of bishop g6 at some point, or she can leave the bishop on g3 and play knight e5.
The knight lands on e5, but both bishop e5 and knight e5 were an idea. So because then the f pawn cannot be pushed because of weakening the g6 square. Trade on g3, so it's a pair of bishops for black, but she still hasn't castled yet, and she has weakened her structure somewhat by advancing g5. So she wants to castle queenside.
I think black has good potential to create an attack, because h5, once again, h5, h4 would be very nice to open the h file and use two bishops.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the flank pawn, but with opposite side castling. This is, of course, very typical. Let's see what white can create, because there's a semi-open c file. And there's some potential to on the queen side, although it seems that white is way slower. She hasn't pushed yet her pawns, and if you go b4, that square is under the control of the e7 bishop.
Yeah, and knight e2, knight d4 is a very logical continuation, though I think that black can go at some point king b8, c5, or even now, yeah, king b8 or h5.
King b8 has indeed been played. It's very useful when you castle queenside that you place the king on b8 so that it's more safe. And the c file is now not a pin after pushing c5. With the king on b8, this is more secure.
Yeah, I didn't like b3 from Elina because I think that it didn't do anything. Black didn't play yet c5, so knight d4 or direct f4 was possible. I think that she lost a very precious tempo with the move b3.
I agree with you that it seems to be slow and the house is on fire. It's opposite side castling, so the players need to hurry up with their attack.
Yeah, and now maybe h4 is interesting, or bishop g4. There are so many things for black. I think I would play h4, but then I have to be careful with f5, trapping the bishop, and if it is mate on h file or not, or bishop g4 looks more attractive.
Yeah, one thing that Valentina has to worry about is her internet connection. So when you guys see that the camera disappears for a moment, that's because Valentina is playing from her holiday location. She's in Bali, Indonesia, and she told us that the weather is really nasty. There's a storm outside, so we hope that her internet will not disappear fully, but there are internet issues. You can see next to her flag that right now her connection is almost making her offline. Actually, my was that member offline, but she's still here. She is playing, but yes, her internet is not stable, unfortunately, but she has been playing. And of course, she wants to win the match, even though there's a technical difficulty for her because of the internet connection.
Yeah, it should be very difficult for her when you know that the connection is not stable. It doesn't matter what kind of position you have. It's all about having good connection to be able to play good.
Definitely, and not disconnect, because disconnection, if she disconnects and she doesn't come back before the time is up, then she will lose that game. But Elina herself said that it's also stormy in Yerevan right now. So actually the two players may have similar difficulties in terms of their internet connection and the weather that may cut out the power.
Yeah, and bishop g4 is on the board. Now it is Elina's turn, and she has to be very quick, I think. Otherwise, h4 is coming, and if black manages to double the rooks on h file, it will be disaster.
Sorry. I agree with you that black's attack is looking very promising, while white is nowhere near getting to the b8 king. So far, it's what we have seen in the first couple of games, that Valentina takes control out of the opening. She gets a pleasant position, and then in the middle game, she has an advantage, attack, or extra material. We shall see if she manages to convert it, because it's a point lead for Elina, even though the positions favored mainly the Russian Grandmaster Valentina.
I'm a bit confused because Elina is taking a lot of time, but I see that she has good connection because she's blinking, so she's not disconnected.
He's
But
here.
she's taking a lot of time for this decision. Queen d2. It's indeed very difficult to play, but maybe she was thinking on ruining her pawn structure with f takes g5 and bishop f5 trade.
H4 is on the board, so Pico already predicted that opening up the H5 will be the plan of black and a potential mating attack once this H5 opens up. We shall see how Elina will react. The time management is roughly balanced, even though, once again, Valentina has somewhat of a time advantage, about 40 seconds.
Yeah, f5 is on the board, but now even h3 or hg looks very good.
H3 indeed is on the board, and there's no way of keeping the H file closed after this pawn push, unfortunately, for white. The g2 pawn will disappear from the board. That creates a vulnerable, very weak square on h3. f6 to mess things up because this bishop doesn't have much space. And if you play bishop f8, oh, okay, intermediate move because the bishop is hanging, but so is the rook on f1.
Yeah, king g2, maybe bishop h3 can be played, but rook f2, bishop f8. I agree that now black cannot double the rook so easily. Though bishop e2, does she win something directly? Because I liked my bishop on g4.
Yeah, she takes on e2 because of the concrete idea of rook h1 check. And now, if king takes g2, queen h3, that will be a mating attack. And if the pawn cannot be captured, then usually it's bad news. After king f2, it feels like there has to be something too. So Elina takes on g2, but oh, I'm scared. This has to be made. It has to be made in a few moves.
It has to be. If I play g4, where does the king go? g4, king f2, or king f4? I think.
Oof, that's a brave king.
King f4, g4, king f4, queen h6, king g4.
Oh my, king f4 is on the board, but this is not king of the hill.
No.
Elina, you're playing classical chess here, rapid time control, speed chess, actually blitz, but this is traditional chess, not king of the hill.
Yeah, king f4, queen h4, and where's the mate? Okay.
It was going to be made in a few moves, so Elina resigns. Well played by Valentina, who now ties the score 3-3. What a nail biter. Back and forth wins for both of these ladies. In the finals of the Women's Speed Chess Championship, they're playing for $6,000 in this match alone, and they have been already collecting prize money from the previous matches. $20,000 in total has been the prize fund for the first ever Women's Speed Chess Championship. In the top female players in the world competing here. So make sure to give a follow to Chess.com on Twitch. If you're not watching on Twitch, come to twitch.tv/chess. And that's where you can hit the follow button to get notified next time we go live with the broadcast.
So far, the fire is on the board and in the match, and I think that we could not have even dreamt of better final.
I agree with you. And if we bring back the Smarter Chess predictions, we always praise Smarter Chess. Thank you one more time for the stats. But I think what Sophico said at the beginning of the show, that this is going to be a very close match, not just for what we have seen so far, but overall, even the bullet portion where Elina considers herself somewhat weaker than in Blitz. Because yes, Elina is the underdog by rating, but she has proved our stats wrong every single time she played.
Yes. It did. And that became like a tradition. In every prediction, Elina is the one who first is going to lose the match with a very big margin, then with 1 point, but actually she's the one who wins the final games, and that's how she got into final.
Yeah, she definitely defies the odds. And Sephir91, shout out to you for the clip. And a reminder to everybody else, too, that you can create clips of the favorite moment, your favorite moments of today's broadcast, the parts where you thought that the games were the most exciting, something brilliant happened. Make sure to clip those moments on Twitch, because we are going to choose the clip of the day for the final part of the show. And we hope that it's going to be your clip. Make sure that you pay attention and clip the moments that are the most appealing to you.
F6 is on the board. It was a provocation to get the e6 square, and after rook e1, I think white has slight advantage because of the isolated pawn. Usually,
Mhm.
when you have isolated pawn, you have to create attack and create chances to have counterplay. Otherwise, if it is blocked and if you trade pieces, the isolated pawn will become weaker and weaker.
That's exactly what can happen to the isolated pawn. That's why I never play having an isolated pawn. I prefer to play against it, but it's just very personal whether one likes to face the isolated pawn structure or have it. I prefer to face it for sure. So, Pico, what about you?
I like to have it, but
I
I
knew
have to
it.
have.
I knew it. Miss Tactics, of course, wants to attack and have that structural weakness, but activity as a compensation.
Indeed, the good thing about isolated pawn is that you get many squares. For example, now 95 is a nice knight, and at some point, black can also get c4 and e4 square. Also, there's a potential of queen bishop battery on b8 h2 diagonal with bishop b8 queen d6, but I don't find it that attractive at the moment because I think it's too much just for this position.
Mhm. I fully agree with you. We shall see how the game will develop. It's a minute of time advantage for Valentina. She has been the faster player, and that will also be, of course, important in the later stage of this match. Let's just remind everybody that the format of the Speed Chess Championship is we have 90 minutes of 5+1, that is 5 minute and 1 second increment per move. And then for an hour, it's 3+1, 3 minute plus 1 second. And the final half an hour is usually the ever exciting bullet that everybody loves for the many, many blunders and mouse slips that may happen.
I agree with you. A bit surprising decision from both sides for me because usually you don't try to trade pieces when you have isolated pawn, and when queen trade and many piece trade is offered, you take it. But both of the players refused it. Elina played queen f5, and Valentina right away played queen d1, saying that I better keep the queen to attack the isolated pawn rather than have them traded.
Mm-hmm. She keeps the queen, even though it's funny how the white heavy pieces are placed at the moment. But it's the open e file that matters, doubling rooks on the e file, putting pressure on the e8 rook. We shall see how Elina will deal with that. She either has to take on e2 or defend her rook. She captures. Trade on e2, and white takes back with the rook, which means that she may want to place the queen on
I
e1.
think rook e2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rook e2, queen e1 is one of the ways to play, but I think that knight e5 is a must move to close the e file. Or rook d8 for now is also possible, and meet queen e1 with knight e5.
So white goes bishop e3, which is very logical. The bishop was not very active on d2. She finds a better square for it on e3. Knight d4 can come in the future. And this is, I think, as you said, with the e5 square available for black, the rook on d8, is the typical around equal position. But as my personal preference, I would still play with white. What about you, Sofiko? Is it still active enough for you to favor black?
No, we don't have enough pieces to create
All right.
play and attack. And now I think black has to be passive and defend, do everything to defend the weaknesses. A4 is a very nice move, emphasizing
Mm-hmm.
that not only the D5 pawn is weak, but after AB, the B5 pawn also becomes a potential weakness.
And the queen will target it from b3, attacking both the b5 pawn and pinning the d5 pawn as well. h5, thematic move.
Yes, in every game, AB, rook d2. I think any move, even if white doesn't play rook d2 and goes for very fast queen b3, uh, just be careful not to blunder any back rank mate with queen b1. Then white should be doing perfect.
Yeah, 95, that's a very active move. And white obviously cannot allow the capture on f3. That would double the pawns. And weaken the king that should not happen. And then knight takes e5 was also not really a good option because of f takes e5 connecting the pawns for black.
Yeah, knight d4, queen d3. Now the queens are off the board. The question is, can white take on b5? Because after rook b7, I think that the piece is lost.
Rook b7 is the tactical motive that defends the b5 pawn because the b6 bishop will be hanging, and if you move it, then b5 knight drops. So white shall be careful about that. Also, the bishop doesn't have that many squares, so if you want to move it to threaten to capture on b5, bishop a5 was one of the few possibilities, if not the only one.
Yeah, I think instead of bishop a5, white had to use the tempo of g3 because there can be always a problem of back rank as the bishop is on f4. So g3, h4, white anyway wants to play it, and I think it would be a good chance because now after bishop e5, there is not anymore this tempo.
I agree with you that it could have been a good option for white. She wants to take on b5. The question is, will she be able to do it under good circumstances? And after knight takes b5, rook b7 is still a good idea for black, it seems, because the b2 pawn is also a target.
Yeah, knight b5 probably cannot be taken, but I don't even know now if white has any advantage because black's pieces are very active, and black is doing if, for example, black plays rook a7, then probably white has to go b4, which will make c3 pawn very weak.
And white also needs to be careful about a potential pawn push b4 because that could try to undermine the d4 knight. For now, that's a very comfortable piece, but b4 is in the air because of the hanging tactical motive. The d4 knight can be undermined.
Yeah, indeed. So white has to be careful about it. Bishop e5 was a very nice move, emphasizing that the diagonal and the bishop actually on e5 is better than the bishop on a5. Now g3, but then your idea with b4, does it work?
And that's a good question, but Elina only has 30 seconds to decide. She has to speed up. She goes for bishop takes d4. I'm not sure I would have wanted to take there if it wasn't absolutely necessary, because the d3 knight doesn't have a way out unless there's knight c1, knight b3 immediately. Maybe she wants to go for an immediate knight maneuver. I would be scared with the knight on d3 or rook a7. Something direct has to happen, otherwise the knight on d3 is bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. b4, and now the bishop is also not great. She doesn't want to open the a file, of course, but knight c1 or king f7 can also be played because after rook d2, knight can go to c1 anyway.
The knight c1 maneuver is actually very nice for black because once you get the knight on b3, it attacks the bishop and the d4 pawn as well. So the knight that was running out of space finally has attacking possibilities. 19 seconds left for Elina. The d5 pawn is hanging, so king e6 is logical.
Yeah, king e6 and king g2, but after knight b3, what white wants, bishop b6, we can just go rook a4.
Therefore, white plays rook b8, accepting the fact that knight takes a5 will win the b pawn, and now this is an extra pawn in a rook endgame for black.
Yeah, just an extra pawn, and it's amazing that because I thought that white is doing very well in this game, but Elina once again showed that it's not so, and she has a lot of things. She just won an extra pawn right now, and I think it's very dangerous endgame because once b4 pawn is moved, then it's very difficult. Oh, what was that?
She gave up the b pawn to win the d pawn. I think that is the idea because now king e4 to attack the d4 pawn. But was this needed? I'm not sure that she had to be in a hurry with this tactical idea. Now it's equal material and the d pawn is still on the board. Seems imprecise.
Yeah, it seems, but she had 13 seconds, so it's understandable. She didn't have any time to think, but it gives white a good chance to escape, of course.
Yes, and f3, white is trying to liquidate. The more pawns she can trade, the more chances she has to make a draw. Now king e4 is possible, but the f6 pawn disappears as well. This has to be a draw, even though black is more active.
Yeah, this really has to be a draw. King e5 or king e3. Any move would draw this. Even with d3 now, just don't blunder d2 d1, mate. Then it's fine.
Both pawns are running, and we shall see what happens after the check. It usually should end in a draw with a move repetition, because you can promote with g8, but d1 is a check, so no one will allow the promotion. Still a tied score, 3.5, 3.5, with 11 minutes left from the match. Wow.
Wow, it's a nail biter. This match is going to be crazy.
This is what we predicted. So Pico, I'm glad that for once we have been doing a good prediction.
Yeah, we're not disappointed. We guessed the players very well, and we thought that it would be a very close match. Probably it will be decided in the bullet. What do you think?
Maybe you're right. And then we shall see if Elina was very modest about her bullet skills, because she said that she feels like the 5+1 and 3+1 she enjoys and she's good at it, but not the bullet. While Valentina must be very confident about her bullet skills. She came back in the match against Alexandra in the 3+1 portion, but in the bullet too, she had to be scoring because Alexandra almost made a comeback herself.
Yeah, and so far it is a very, very strong match because we don't see any one move blunders. We just see the turnaround of the events, because once we see that Valentina is having advantage, then Elina shows her skills and she gets the advantage, but then Valentina is able to convert the advantage. So it is so far the most interesting match of the women's speed chess championship.
I fully agree with you. And this is the grand finale. $6,000 on the line in this one single match, but the players have been already collecting prize money from previous matches. A reminder that this has been the first ever Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. There's also Junior Speed Chess Championship with the quarterfinals starting very soon. So make sure that you follow Chess.com. You hit that follow button on Twitch, because we are also about to start very shortly the overall Speed Chess Championship. Both the women's Speed Chess winner and the junior Speed Chess winner will get a spot in the big field where Anish Giri, Sopiko's husband, and Hikaru Nakamura will also compete. So that's something to look forward to, and that's why you should definitely follow the channel of Chess.com on Twitch. And another reminder, I wanted to say that we would like to know your opinion on who shall be invited for next year's event. You can use the hashtag SpeedChess to answer the daily question, which is, who would you like to see in next year's Women's Speed Chess Championship?
And we have a very interesting position on the board. Right now, it's a big decision for White, I think, to play d5 or not, because after rook ab8, Black has big potential with the queenside pawns connected with b5. So what do you think? Should White play d5, continued with e4, or should she have the tension in the center?
D5 is definitely the question. I don't know if White's position is ready for the breakthrough just yet, but Sopiko is right that it is something that White has to consider. When is it right to break through? And if she can prepare for it, what's the best way to prepare for D5?
I think I would go for d5, because after bishop a1, I don't like that Black can play c takes d4, e takes d4, and b5.
Mm-hmm.
But both players seem to take it slow.
The bishops have gone to the corner, bishop a1, bishop a8, and then d5.
Yeah, I don't know if that gives a big difference, but I think Black had chance to take on d4 first and play direct b5.
Maybe that was an even better option. We shall see now how this middle game will turn out. The d5 pawn is a pawn that takes a lot of space away from Black, but at the same time it can become a target unless White manages to connect it with the e-pawn. And the e5 square has been given up by pushing d5. That's what Black is aiming to use now. If there's a capture on e5, bishop takes e5, or even queen takes e5 sometimes, to try to attack the king.
I think that now after knight e5, knight h4 should be very strong, because knight f5 is a big threat, and g6 weakens the king side.
And it's on the board, so Pico is always on spot with all the tactical elements in the position. The knight on f5 will be a very strong attacking piece. And as pointed out by Miss Tactics, if you play g6, that will open up the long diagonal and weaken the black king on g8.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget also that a6 pawn is hanging, isn't it? Ooh, 95, knight f5.
Aha, what's going on here? Knight takes d5 has been played because there are tactics over the board. The h4 knight is hanging, but knight f5 attacks the queen, and so the knight will still be hanging on d5. Who has calculated better?
White has to prove something right now. Knight f5, queen e6. If I take knight d5, bishop d5, can I take also rook d5, or that's too much? Queen
It
d5, rook
feels
d1.
like it could be too much. There would be a potential idea of knight e7 fork. So what Sopik was saying, multiple trades on d5, exchanging the, sacrificing the exchange on d5, and if knight e7 would be there, but this d6 bishop so far defends everything. Can we make it work, this tactical motive?
I don't know, but it looks very dangerous. Knight d5, I think, has to be taken. Bishop d5, and maybe knight d6, rook d6, because if queen d6, then e4. But after rook d6, f4 can be also problematic. f4, f5.
Mm-hmm. Well, knight h4 invited the move knight takes d5, so we shall see if it was Elina who is right, that there's something for white right now, or Valentina will simply be a pawn up.
I don't know, but I think that white is doing great. Even e4, f4. What do you think? I think knight d6, rook d6, f4 is the way to continue.
In that case, it will be a pawn up for black, but the pair of bishops is what white has and the initiative.
Yeah.
That could be. Knight takes d6 indeed, and then f4 is Sopiko's idea to chase the knight away from e5. e4 isn't the other move that Sopiko mentioned, so e4, f4, going for it, because you need to start advancing those pawns if you want to create an attack.
Yeah, e4, bishop. Though e4 might be a bit imprecise, because after bishop c6, if I go f4, then the trade will happen on d6. And the idea of f4 was that we could play f5, kick the queen out, and then play e4.
A rook trade on d6, and now we shall see if f4 will happen, or it's not time yet for that move. Queen b2 would be another interesting move, yeah, because the knight cannot move away because of the mate on g7.
Yeah, rook e8 probably. f6. f6 also possible, but then f4, knight f7, e5. Nice.
16 seconds left for Elina, 3.5 minutes for Valentina. This is a huge time difference.
Yeah, it is. Now, Elina has to be very fast, and I know it is very difficult because she has a lot of options. Two bishops, yes, she is pawn down, but she can always take on a6. But now e4 pawn is hanging. I think she's misplaying it.
She may have misplayed it. She had a good chance, but the 7 seconds left and the position is not clear at all. So she has to be extremely careful to not blunder. Whew.
Yeah, knight f4. Can she just take knight f4?
Knight f4 seems to be possible because after e takes f6, the bishop was hanging on e2 with a check. Knight takes e2, so bishop takes a6, but now f takes e5. Oh, she's flagging. She made a move with 0.2 seconds. 0.2.
Showing that
she flagged now. It just you can't play on 1 second increment. It's just not possible. Elina loses on time, but that game was my heart rate must have gone real high. Unfortunately, we are not wearing heart rate monitors. Maybe that will be something to add for next year for the players and for the commentators.
Yeah, indeed. And we had this opening already from Elina many times in against Katerina Lachno and Harika. In this match, we also had it with e4, rook e1. Once again, I will repeat myself. Oh, that's a very nice thing that black should not fall for. That's the
It
trick.
is an opening trap, basically an element that happens when there's a fianchetto bishop knight g5 threatened mate on h7. I'll show it because it's very instructive. So it happens in this Catalan type of positions that knight g5 is a tactical element threatening mate. So you take the knight, but the bishop falls. And here it means that this bishop is very powerful. It's not that bad in a sense that this is not material up for white, but having the g2 bishop and no other light squared bishop, this is a piece that's stronger than the g5 bishop.
Exactly. And after e3, white puts her pawns on the dark squares and enjoys the light squares. f5 is one of the way to create counterplay on the king side, but it weakens the e6 pawn. And at some point, if white plays d5 or after b4, a4, c5, white gets very good chances on the queen side.
Mm-hmm. Only a minute and a half left from this segment of the match. That means that after this game, we will go for a short break. The players will also get a snack break. And after a few minutes, they will be back with the next time control that is 3 minutes plus 1 second increment. So this is the final game. It's very likely to be the final game in the 5 minute plus 1 second portion.
Yep, c5 is on the board, b takes c5, b takes c5, rook ft1. Now probably queen c7 is a logical continuation, though Elina goes for bishop c6. Now white can decide to take on c5 or play queen a4. Queen a4 is a bit surprising because now black has tempo with knight b6, doesn't she?
Yes, she does, and that will attack the c4 pawn as well. So queen takes a6 is what white is aiming for, but the question will be whether that's a possibility. If there's any tricks with rook a8, black decides that she doesn't want to allow queen takes a6. She plays queen c8.
Yeah, queen c8 is even better than knight b6, I think, because it defends the a6 pawn as well. And at some point, c takes d4 is an option with knight b6.
According to our smarter chess predictions, Gunina should win this portion 5-4, which would be the case if the last game is a draw. So smarter chess, shout out to you in the chat and also for bringing up these stats for every single match in the Speed Chess Championship. You may be just right if this game ends in a draw.
Exactly, with the exact numbers. But let's see. I think Elina is going to do her best to do something in this game because there is a potential. I like queen c8 very much. c4 pawn is weak, and somehow Elina managed to have initiative.
Queen c8, rook a c1, knight b6 may come now to attack the queen, although the queen, the question is, where do you place the queen and then still keep an eye on c4, or can you sacrifice the c4 pawn to open up the c file? The queen doesn't have many squares.
Yeah, that's a big question. I think after knight b6, queen c6 is possible.
To trade queens on c6. Rook d8 by Elina. The time management so far is roughly balanced, so that's good news for Elina, who struggled in the previous game a lot.
Yeah,
in terms of time management.
Knight e2 is a very nice move. Knight goes to f4, emphasizing that after f5, the e6 pawn is weak. It allows rook b2, but rook b2 is nothing to be scared of because the a2 pawn is defended and only one rook can do anything on the second rank.
It's very instructive that we normally want to see the rook on the second or seventh rank, depending on the perspective. But here it's nothing. It's nothing unless you can bring more pieces, pieces to the b file, or more pieces that can attack on the second rank to create some actual threats. Rook b4 is an actual threat because the queen has to go.
Yeah, queen c2 probably. Queen c2, and can black take cd4, or she should play knight b6 right away?
She goes for queen c2. As you mentioned, knight b6 is very direct to attack the c4 pawn, and the other idea would be to bring her heavy pieces to the b5, but she can combine this. Oh, a3. What's going on here with the tactics? She's provoking black to take on c4.
I cannot take. No.
I would assume that you can. I like free stuff, so I think rook takes c4 is free stuff.
But queen b3. A3 is a very nice move because after trading now we have problems with the knight. If knight a8, it looks very ugly. Knight d7 we cannot go because e6 pawn is hanging, and queen c7 we also cannot play because e6 pawn is hanging. So knight a8 is the only move which looks very ugly.
Even then maybe the free stuff I didn't like that much, but there was no choice after the b4 rook was hanging. It didn't really have an option. So a3, what a move to temporarily sacrifice a pawn for the bad piece placement. Knight a8 is extremely ugly.
Yeah, knight a8, bishop a8, queen e6, and white can win actually f5 pawn as well. So white will have extra pawn.
Oof, will this happen? Knight a8 is on the board. There's a pin on the c5, knight f4, the e6 pawn. Everything is hanging.
I would take on a8.
This pawn, you can also take, as Sopiko said, not anymore though. Knight c7, but that allows d takes c5. And after rook takes c5, there's a pin on the c5, and knight e6 is a threat.
Yeah, d5 although possible, but after c6, it looks very bad. c6, queen b7.
h4, here we go.
In every game, we have h4. Makes sense.
Yes, also the back rank sometimes can be vulnerable, even though g3 has been pushed. But in case you want to hide the king on h2, it makes sense to push Harry.
Harry's there.
An unpleasant position for Elina and also time disadvantage, but we have seen the 6-time Armenian champion escaping from the worst of positions, so anything can still happen, I believe.
Yeah, I think she will create something in the center right now. Maybe d4 is the way. d4, no, queen d7. Okay. I liked d4.
Yes, d4 is a possibility, and she for sure needs active counterplay. That's the only way she will have chances, because white's pieces are really active and white has a c passed pawn.
C passed pawn, and the bishop and the a6 pawn is weak. Knight on f4 is great. Bishop e5, we can just go knight d3, and after bishop f6, maybe this knight can go to b4.
Yes, the knight on b4 is very well placed, attacking the a6 pawn and also supporting the c passed pawn. Looking bad for Elina. Let's see if she finds a way. Rook a8 is really passive if you need to protect your pawn with a move like that.
Ooh, tactics might happen. Tactics.
Something.
Knight d5. Can I play knight d5?
Yeah, yes. It's on the board. Knight d5.
Knight d5, bishop c5, e takes d5, and f6 bishop is hanging.
This is the idea that there's an unprotected piece on f6, so it's a pawn up for Valentina, and also the d5 pawn is still vulnerable. The c6 pass pawn will be very annoying. What a position.
Another tough game for Elina, and I don't know, miracles should happen. She should be a real magician to escape from this game. She has 8 seconds on the clock, a very bad position, and she is down 1 pawn.
She is. This is looking like a sad story for Elina, and that can mean a 2-point lead for Valentina if she scores rook takes d5 because of the pin on the 7th rank was possible. Now it's 2 pawns up for white, and the attack and this pass pawn. Oof, this is looking like a position where you can soon lose.
Bishop d5, it's over.
And Valentina wins. This is a 2-point lead for the Russian lady, and we will go for a short break before we continue the match. Remember, it's only halfway through where we are, and this is it, the grand finale. Make sure to be here. In a few minutes, we are back with the rest of the match. The 3+1 format is about to begin. See you very shortly.
Stay tuned.
Oh man, I'm bored. Pro Chess League regular season is over. It's hot outside. What am I gonna do?
I'll tell you what he's going to do. He's going to sign up with the other Pro Chess League superfans and play in the first ever Fan Summer Series.
Now you can team up with the world's top chess players. Join other users like Goldust Tori, M. Seattle Chess 4, Andrea Botez, Moscatel 87, Helms Knight, and others are already competing actively for their favorite Pro Chess League teams every week. The PCL Summer Series is a first-of-its-kind event where fans like you play alongside pro chess stars like Jan Ludwig Hammer, Sam Shanklin, Georg Meyer, Vara Kobian, and Eric Hansen. Fans from 2 PCL teams play against each other every Saturday through the month of August, and $1,000 in cash is up for grabs to the most active and best performing fans. Will one of them be you? The Pro Chess League Summer Series Championship awaits those brave enough to take on the world's top chess players. So what are you waiting for? Get in on the action today by going to prochessleague.com/summer series, click on the club logo of your favorite teams, sign up, and start playing. Of course, make sure you tune in and watch all the action at twitch.tv/chess, chess.com TV, and see who takes home summer glory.
Welcome back to the grand finale of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. This is it, the epic battle between Elina Danielian and Valentina Gunina for the overall prize of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. So, Pico, what are your thoughts on the first portion and what will we see in the 3+1?
Amazing. I think the games were very, very good quality, and the turn of events we've seen, it was just amazing. Valentina managed to have 2-point lead still, and I think that she will manage to have 1-point lead in the 3 minutes portion, but then in bullet, I'm expecting fireworks.
Anything can happen. In the match against Alexandra Kosteniuk, Valentina had to come back from a 4-point deficit. Now it is Elina who is trailing. It's a 2-point lead for the Russian Grandmaster, and we shall see if Elina will manage to tie the score. Anything is possible, as Sopiko said. We have seen every single game being a roller coaster with missed chances for both players.
Yeah. And now Elina goes for the King's Indian structure with knight of 3, g3, bishop d3, and c4. Usually Valentina goes for this system with c6 and bishop g4. I think that's a very solid system against the reversed King's Indian. But probably we already transposed into English opening with having c4, e5 on the board.
Yes, and Valentina went for this setup with the black pieces, with the bishop on g4, the c6, d5 setup, and pushing e5, also in her match against Alexandra Kosteniuk. So she still is faithful to this variation. She likes to play it as black. Now after queen e7, it's tricky, of course, with the bishop on f8. It's not the usual development, but it does allow castle queenside at any point for black, and she may want to place the bishop on g7 after pushing the g pawn, but g6 will not allow the bishop on h5 to move, so it's not that simple.
Queen e7 is a bit of an unusual move. b3 is also possible, as well as I think a3 with potential b4, you know, I always want to be active, is possible. Queen e7 or queen c7, I think the main choice was between these two moves, and Valentina went for queen e7, which probably tiny bit confused Elina, as she took a lot of seconds to make the next move.
Castle queenside on the board. So once again, we have a game with opposite side castling. They're usually very exciting to follow because there's attack on both flanks. Both players will aim for the king. And this is a shorter time control we have seen for the first 90 minutes. 5+1, that has been the time control. And now, and for the rest of the games for an hour, it's a 3-minute plus 1 second blitz game that we will witness.
Yeah. Bishop e3 threatens to take the a7 pawn, and after knight c5, queen c1, lots of things are going, but I think I like it for white. I don't know what is black's plan, because the king on c8 is not as safe as it looks.
Mm-hmm. I like the knight on d4, so that's a move that e4, the pawn push allows. It's more space for black, but the knight is comfortable. Knight f5 can come at a later stage, and simply the idea of pushing b4, b5, and attack the c8 king.
Ooh, I love your attacking skills. B4, B5. Let's go, Elina. Black has to do something now. Knight D4, queen either C7 or queen E5 is a must move to open the bishop on F8 and develop it. Black has to still develop the bishop, and the bishop on H5 also is not doing anything. So I think that white has free hand on the queen side.
Free hands, and I'm looking forward to the moment when these pawns will start to be pushed. Rook d1 was, of course, a logical move, but I think it's time. I think it's time to take immediate action.
I agree with you, totally. B4. Come on. B4, B5. Come on, Elina.
Me too. Still preparing for the pawn push. It's also a good move, but I felt like it was already the right moment. She wants to bring perhaps the rook to b1 or c1 and just have a more active square for the queen. But
okay,
I want to push the pawn.
Push.
Not yet. Push him, baby.
Yeah,
not
rook
yet.
C1. Rook C1. Also possible, of course, because then it is very difficult for black to find a plan. What can black do actually? Rook H8 is possible, but now the knight is gone, so we cannot push the b4 pawn with the tempo.
It could have been a possibility for the last couple of moves.
We can play knight c5. b5 now.
Oh, yeah, that could have been an interesting tactical idea. I'm going to show it on the board. Knight cb5 is what Sopiko said, to sacrifice a piece to open up the c file, and then you would win the queen unless there's a piece that can block the c file, and you win back the piece.
Yeah.
Interesting idea. It wasn't played.
B4 now is... It's never late for b4. I like it.
b4 and then queen b3. Slowly but surely, white is gaining more space on the queen side. It's a very strategic positional way of handling the opposite side castling.
Knight cb5 is still an option, isn't it? Knight cb5, if queen b8, then knight a7, knight c6, lots of things are going on.
Mm-hmm. I agree that the idea of opening up the c file, this tactical motive, is still possible. Will we see it? Will Elina go for knight cb5? Yes, it's on the board.
Yes, it is on the board. Knight a7. Come on, take it. Knight a7.
And then a discovered attack.
Knight a7, queen a7, knight c6.
I'm going to show it. This is Sopiko's idea. Capture, sacrifice a piece to them, have knight takes c6, discovered attack. Everything is hanging, but only 19 seconds left for Elina. Will she go for it? Knight c3. She went back to c3. No.
That was disappointing.
That is disappointing.
Not
that we can... Yeah, not that we can root for anybody, but when a tactical motive like this is unexploited.
What was that? What was that?
They are repeating moves. Bishop f4, knight h5.
Rook d4 is hanging. Bishop f4, rook d4.
Yes, bishop f4 was a piece blunder that Valentina didn't spot. You can take this knight on d4, free stuffs. Whoa, knight h5 and the bishop goes back. Elina didn't play it for the second time.
Oh my God, that was lucky. That was lucky.
And now look at this. Knight b6 is threatening to be a fork, and there's lots of potential with b5 as well. Valentina has missed her chance to take a free piece.
Yeah, and now c5, it looks very, very good, of course, for white, but I think that Elina should have...
But 1 second left for Elina. It's an exchange up for the Armenian, but whoa, she has to speed up.
She has to be really quick. Oh my God, she flags. She
flagged with an exchange up. Wow, that's painful. That is really painful. 3-point lead for Valentina Gunina after escaping from this exchange down position where she could have taken a piece earlier. Ups and downs in this match, but now Elina has to find her way back.
Yeah, she has to play quicker. It is very difficult after a 5-minute portion to right away play 3-minute portion because you're really... Yeah. You're really missing this 2 minutes. And it was seen that Elina was a bit slow, but now she has to really be more fast, and she has to play faster than Valentina. But it's very difficult because Valentina is really fast.
It is, and psychologically too, we can see Elina struggling, not believing that she lost that game where she was material up and she flagged. She has to play faster and overcome this psychological barrier to the threes. She's now 3 points down in the match.
Yeah, and what we have on board is the very topical line. Just doubling the rooks on the d file. No h4 this time, but h3, which is more logical to take away g4 square. It is a very slow position where a lot of maneuvers are happening. Maybe at some point queen b1, queen a1, and queen b8, queen a8 will be on the board.
Yes, it's about to happen, the queen on b8 and then a8. It's funny because normally that's not the square you want for the queen, but in this kind of structure, it's actually a thematical maneuver, as Sopik already pointed out. The idea. g5, attack on the king side.
I like the new name we have for Gunina. Seagull 3 is saying Gunina is a female Magnus.
Oh, well, she has been doing very well. She won the European Championship 3 times.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Maybe we don't have time to discuss her nickname in this moment because everything is on fire.
Oh my God. What was that? It was not good exchange for white. I think black is doing really well. But something was misplayed. I had a feeling something was misplayed. Instead of queen e4, black could take on h3 and continue the attack.
Oh, now it's an endgame. I love it, but at the same time, I don't know how we got here so quickly.
Yeah. C takes d5, e takes d5, maybe d4 now can be played right away to create the passer on the board and then make a use of c5.
That's a possibility. And what we were discussing earlier, going back to the new nickname of Valentina, I also see some comments in the chat that should be Goryachkina. Of course, there are so many strong female players. It's difficult to choose one, and not to mention that Hui Fan is there, Ju and June. And we will need to see who will win the Women's World Championship. So far, Gunina has been doing very well in the Speeches Championship, and she won also the Cairns Cup, the inaugural Cairns Cup this year, which was very convincing. But Elina Danielian has been the underdog throughout the whole event, and she always made an upset. So I still believe she has chances.
I agree with you. And speaking of female Magnus, you can write on #SpeedChess. You can advise us who to invite for the next Women's Speed Chess Championship. Who do you want to see?
Yeah, please use the #SpeedChess to let us know who do you think we shall have in the field next year, because this has been the first time that Chess.com organized the Speed Chess Championship for the top female players, but not the last time, that is for sure.
Yeah, and what do we have on board? Elina has one extra pawn, but it is super difficult to win this position as all the pawns are on same flank. And what white wants to do is just sacrifice the knight for the pawn at some point, and it will be draw.
Yes, that is the way to do it, but with no time on the clock, it would still be unpleasant. So it's good that Valentina has 2.5 minutes left. Even if it's going to be a rook and knight versus rook position that she has to defend, that's plenty to think about the right defense. But she may not even have to reach that position. So this will be a rather simple draw, but the knight is a tricky piece, and this is a blitz game, so let's just not call it yet over. It should be a draw, but it's not over.
I agree with you. 2 minutes and 10 seconds, though, should be enough for Valentina to comfortably draw this endgame. But, of course, knight is a very tricky piece, and I think Elina will try her best to make use of it. Knight h3.
That's a second pawn. Wait. We were saying that there's no chance to make the winning, and now it's already 2 pawns. I'm going to go back to that moment real quick. After h5, knight e4 was not needed at all. But I'm not sure what Valentina thought she would have. So she gave up the h3 pawn, and now this is, of course, a clear winning chance for Elina, but she is down to 23 seconds.
Yeah, she has to hurry up. It would be very bad if she draws this game psychologically as well, because the game before she was winning, she had a very good attack going on, but she flagged. So she should not repeat the same mistake.
She has to hurry up, as Sopiko pointed out. Now, trading for a rook endgame can be a good idea because it's safe. Now she will just push the g-pawn, bring the king close as well. It's a winning rook endgame, where with 20 seconds on the clock, she should be able to convert. I think I cannot say she will, because anything can still happen with
F5
this time format.
H4 G3, I think.
That's the right plan. And it's rather simple. There's not much room for error.
A bit, yeah, this is also possible, just to go to second rank, king f4, and then even at some point h2, rook f2, king f4 is a possibility.
Valentina still has a minute and a half. She has been playing extremely quickly, but the position is lost for her after rook f1. That's also very instructive, to attack the f2 pawn and then push f4.
Yeah. So king
He
h4
threatens rook f2 and g3, and Valentina resigns. That was a nice win for Elina, and a needed one, because now it is still a 2-point lead for Valentina, but psychologically she has managed to make a turnaround and break the tendency that Valentina kept on winning game after game.
Yeah, exactly. And in 3+1 portion, it's seen that Elina is so far dominating, but she has to play faster. And it was very good for her to bounce back and win the game. Now Valentina has 2-point lead, but still a lot of games ahead. And then bullet portion, where we all expect the fireworks.
Definitely. This has been the Trompovsky attack with bishop g5, bishop takes f6. It has been played in the Speed Chess Championship in earlier matches too. It's quite popular in Elina's repertoire as well. Yeah. And we may see an isolated pawn structure if black takes on c4.
Yeah, bishop b4 is another way, of course. Now, of course, the idea is to wait once again for the bishop development, bishop d3, d takes c4, bishop c4, and this is the way to take on c4, not to give white direct tempo.
Black castles, it is a weakened king side, but there aren't really attacking pieces around the black king just now, and black is also making sure that if needed, this knight can be defending the king side.
This is the isolated pawn I'm not a big fan of, because the pawns on f6 and f7 actually not so bad. If needed, f5 closes all the attacking chances, and then d4 pawn is kind of weak. Of course, white has chances to create something with rook e3, knight h4, rook g3, queen h5, but Black has her own play in the center as well.
And she's about to finish development with b6, bishop b7, then bring the rook over to c8, and the other rook can come to the d5 to put pressure on the isolated pawn. Still has to be careful, black, about the open g5, but as Sopiko said, these doubled pawns can be useful too. It's not only a weakness, pros and cons for having doubled pawns.
Yeah. Bishop b3 is a nice way also to create the battery. Bishop c2, but after knight g6, it does not make much sense. Also, black has potential to attack, actually. Knight f4, king h8, rook g8, and knight f4, knight g2 will always be problematic for white.
I love how you found a way for black to attack on the king side. But it's true, the knight on f4 will be very dangerous. And there's also this annoying fianchettoed bishop targeting the g2 square already.
Yeah, and after bishop c3, queen c7, now black wants to get knight f4 on the board, because the c3 pawn is hanging. White has to play c4. And can we play knight f4, or it's not the way?
Knight f4. It's very tempting to play knight f4.
But maybe d5.
Pawns. queen f4. That's another way of playing knight f4. You first trade the queen and then have the knight there.
Yeah, I think it's more logical because after knight f4, d5 could have been problematic.
Still d5 is on the board, but now after the trade of queens on e3, it is of course annoying that white has a passed pawn and black's pawn structure is weakened. They are isolated, the kingside pawns, and doubled on the f file. Yeah, it's looking good for white, but if black manages to block the d5 pawn and attack it with all possible pieces, it still can be all right.
Yeah, though d6 is possible for white right now, white has a lot of moves. H4 is another way to give the king square, of course, and h4 always is a nice move in the endgame. Not only in the endgame, as we have seen.
Yeah, we have seen it in every single game. I thought that white wanted to push d6 to prevent black from placing the rook on d6, but it seems that neither of the players are in a hurry with those moves. King f8, bringing the king closer to guard the e7 square in case the knight is chased away with h5. There's no rook e7.
Yeah, king f8 and now d6 or h5. Which one would you play?
Good question. Perhaps d6 because I don't want to see the rook on d6.
Yeah, I agree with you. d6. I think black should not allow h5 so easily, so maybe rook c5 is an option.
I like that idea because it's also a way to activate the rook. You don't just want to be waiting passively here under the pawn.
Yeah, also after h5, there is bishop f7, king f7, rook e7 if the knight moves. So h5.
Only 10 seconds left for Elina. She has to hurry up because she flagged already in one game with an exchange up. So she has an advantage. The position is better for white, but she needs to speed up.
Yeah, she needs to go now. She needs to find a good square for the knight. Knight e1, knight c2 is a way to play. Probably still knight c2. Knight g2 I don't like. I thought that knight c2 is better because now bishop g2 can be played. Or rook e3, knight e3, I like it for white.
Only 4 seconds left. I'm scared by looking at the time of Elina. It's not that much about the position right now, but if she can keep playing quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Rook c3. The position, she has a very good position. Now rook c5 probably has to be played. Take, and knight e3.
There are still tricky things because of knight f3 check. So f4 is a good idea, but the knight has appeared on d4. It's an outpost. The c5 pawn is sending the d6 pawn as well. Trade of pawns in 3 seconds for Elina.
Oh my god. Yeah, h5 pawn is hanging, so knight c4, king e3. She has to hurry up. She has to play very quickly. She's playing good, but she has to be faster.
Only 2 seconds left, and we have seen already that she's been struggling with time management. The knight on e5 is beautiful, but the b3 pawn is about to fall, and she flagged. She flagged when she has a fork, and she flagged. Oh my! Oh my! Neither of the players can believe it. Valentina for making a one-move blunder, blundering her rook away, and Elina for not playing knight e7 in time.
Oh my god. Whoa. That was painful to see.
That was really painful, and that gives an extra point for the advantage that Valentina has already had. I think both players are in shock right now, both of them.
Yeah. Rook b8 was a very big blunder, and Elina could not use it because she was not fast enough. She has to hurry up, and she has to play faster. It is very difficult to be faster than Valentina, who said that her main strength is to play fast, and her main weakness is to play too fast. So that's very, very difficult to compete with her. But still, Elina has to try because now Valentina has 3-point lead, and bullet portion is coming, where if you play fast, you have big advantage.
Valentina has been doing very well in the previous matches, also in bullets. So this is looking very difficult for the six-time Armenian champion. Elina has been the underdog in all her matches, and she proved the stats wrong. But today, she started well. She had a point lead at the very beginning, but then Valentina came back and then started scoring game after game, even this last one where she was supposed to lose a rook, and then she won on time.
Yeah, time matters. And what we have on the board again, h4.
h4, yay!
Very nice. Hari is on the board. And knight g4, queen g4, h5 is next move, I guess. But of course, black is not forced to take on g4.
Trade on g4 and then h5 to counter white. The white move h4 and not allow white pushing even further that pawn. Knight d4, because it is white who has the pair of bishops, and you would like to tell white, give me one of those bishops for my knight.
I like it for Elina once again. She has to really play faster now. She is doing good. She has more time than Valentina, but look at this knight, this beautiful on d4. c5. Can we play c5? And then
c5. Mm-hmm.
If c3 happens, we can go knight c6. Yeah, c5 is on the board.
That frees the c6 square for the knight, as Sopikov mentioned, if needed. And also it's just nice to have those pawns advancing and creating more space for black's pieces. The knight on d4 is beautifully placed.
Yeah, c5 is a nice move because white doesn't have a knight, so weakening the d5 square and giving the d5 square to knight, it doesn't to white, it doesn't matter anymore, as there is no knight that can have outpost.
True, very well pointed out that if there was a knight on c3, that would be a different story. Then you don't want to push your pawn to c5.
Yeah, and after queen c3. Probably black has to start to regroup his pieces and prepare for c4. What about
if she plays? How would you prepare it? Actually, it's not that simple to prepare c4.
Yeah, I thought rook d6, but I blundered c5 pawn.
Yeah, so... and this bishop on h3, this is the annoying piece that doesn't allow rook c8 immediately, neither rook d7, so you need to go around, but rook d6 cuts the connection between the queen and the pawn. That was the problem that Sopikov has just spotted. Queen f6.
I liked more queen b7 to have the queen on this diagonal where the king on g2 looks a bit vulnerable, and also the pawn on e4. Maybe at some point even the aggressive f5 could have been an option.
Yeah, queen f6 was tricky because it was with similar ideas as Sopikov mentioned. There can be problems on the light squares. So if queen f6, white takes on c5, then queen f3 was a possibility with a potential attack against the king and also picking up the e4 pawn.
I think Elina missed somehow her chances to convert this game into a big advantage, because I feel like this knight on d4 supported with c5 pawn should have given more to black.
I agree with you that it looked very promising, and it's Elina who really needs to prove that she is in this match. She can make a comeback. It's a 3-point lead for the 3-time European champion Valentina Gunina, but Elina Danielian has defied all odds previously. She was the underdog in every single match, and she made her way into this field by winning the qualification tournament, which wasn't simple at all. She was not the top seed.
Yeah, and I think that white is having a good advantage right now because she's having the c file, and the knight actually on d4 right now is not doing anything. After queen c7, probably queen e7 has to be played because this queen is terribly, terribly annoying. Bishop d4, rook f3 is a threat, isn't it? Now f4, come on.
f4 to undermine the d4 square and the knight with that.
f4.
Yeah.
I like f4.
I think I should like it too. If you like it, I like it. Our bishop takes d4. That was Sopiko's other idea, to place the rook on f3 next move.
Yeah, but rook f3,
rook takes
d7. Yeah, I thought e takes d4 was better to keep the rooks so that we could defend everything easily. This was also
And after this trade, it doesn't seem to be that dangerous for black anymore because it's opposite colored bishops and only one rook each.
Yeah, rook d3 is possible, but it gives e4. Rook e4? Oh!
The queen! One move blunder. Was that a mouse slip? She may have wanted to play queen to e5 and she went queen e6. This is such bad luck for Elina, who was already in a 3-point disadvantage in the match. Now it's 4 points, the lead of Valentina Gunina.
That was disastrous. That was painful. Oh my god. Oh my
I think
god.
that was a mouse slip. It's impossible that she didn't see the bishop on h3.
Yeah, also the pawn was hanging on e4. It was terrible. It is terrible, but okay. She has to forget everything. Or what she's doing good already is that she's playing faster. And if there are no mouse slips, no blunders, Elina should be able to bounce back. Valentina Gunina, she bounced back and she won the match when she was 4 points down against Alexandra Kostinuk. We've seen it already, and I think Elina can also level the score, and then it will be decided in bullet.
Yes, that's indeed a good reminder that it has happened in the previous match that Valentina Gunina came back from a 4-point deficit, and it never happened earlier in Speed Chess Championships that a 4-point disadvantage could be turned into a victory. So she came back and she even won the match, but maybe Elina will be the second one to do it. As for Valentina, she's playing from her holiday location, that is Bali, Indonesia, where right now it's 2:30 in the morning, I believe. So that is an additional factor that she's struggling sometimes with her internet because of the stormy weather right now in Bali, and it's late. It's really late.
It is really late. And what do we have on the board? Again, hanging pawns, but now I think it's better version for white, because white is already prepared for any kind of breakthrough. Bishop f5 is a very typical move. Bishop wants to go to h3, but that also has its drawbacks, as we've seen in the game before, that if knight e4, knight g5 happens, then white is in trouble.
Interesting now with the piece placement that the rook came to c6, blocking the bishop on b7, but it was temporary. Now with rook b6, it puts pressure on this b3 vulnerable pawn. I like this rook maneuver. It came out of the pin as well.
Yeah, rook b6. a3, though, was not forced.
Yes, it's interesting that after rook c6, Elina went for a3, which gave even more purpose to the rook maneuver.
Yeah, now queen c2 defends the b3 pawn, and Elina has to do something about the f5 bishop, I think, because it's really annoying there. But if she plays g6, then after bishop h3, the bishop on b2 becomes stronger, as the diagonal will be open.
Rook back to c6. Interesting maneuvering here and there, back and forth.
Offering draw.
Is that how Valentina offers a draw? Interesting way to do so for sure. But yeah, this is another hanging pawns middle game position. And black doesn't seem to have any concrete problems except for that.
Well, rook d5 is a problem now. Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes knight f8.
Yeah, knight f8 to defend the d5 pawn.
I can show it real quick that what Sopiko pointed out, if black had played any silly move, rook takes d5 was a possibility because of the mate on g7. Tactics over the board everywhere, always. b4.
b4. d4.
Counter tactics.
Counter tactics. It wouldn't be so bad, I think, to play d4. But take everything and rook b6. Now, white can actually force the trade, playing bishop d4, rook b4, and then bishop f6, g takes f6, and knight h5. I think it was interesting to sacrifice pawn like this.
Bishop takes f6 and then knight d4.
Yeah, a6 is on the board, but now white doesn't seem to have any big advantage.
It's true that it seemed very pleasant for white, but there's nothing concrete. It's still is nice to have the knight on d4 and some pressure, but black is comfortably defending with the rook on the 6th rank and the bishops, having the pair of bishops.
Yeah, and after b5, the pawns are gone. Now white is playing against the isolated pawn, but what white is missing is the miscoordinated pieces. The knight on g3 is not doing anything, and after knight e2, bishop e5, a lot of trades can happen in the center, which will simplify the position, and probably draw will be accepted soon.
A draw is a likely result in this game. It's one of the most solid ones we have seen. Every other game went into some kind of an attacking position usually.
Yeah, knight f3, bishop f6. Now, what black is missing is the d4 break, just to get rid of the isolated pawn. But if rook a2 and if white is too greedy, then I think black can take over.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she has rook on a2, knight c5, then knight e4, f2 is pretty weak. So knight c6, now any kind of tactics going on? Rook d6, knight b4?
That's possible.
That was missed.
Mm-hmm.
That was missed, I think.
A missed chance. But we have seen this happening, especially when the players go down on time. It's only 23 seconds left for Elina and less than a minute two for Valentina. They may miss those ideas. Knight before the rook goes back to a5. Now white can take the pawn on d5.
Yeah, taking. And it means that Elina won pawn.
Mm-hmm. But there's now a pin on the b5. She comes out of it with another tactical motive, attacking the c5 knight.
Yeah, taking. And it is 4 against 3, having bishop versus knight. Still a good chance for white to convert it.
Mm-hmm.
16 seconds, though.
Yeah. The time factor. Elina has been struggling today. It's interesting that she did have many time trouble games in the previous matches too, but it didn't affect her that much in terms of the results. Even today, she started very well by escaping very difficult positions with no time on the clock. So maybe she thought that it's okay to go down on time because she was still saving those positions. But when she had to win, when she had an exchange up and she flagged, that must have been really painful for her.
Yeah, but big things going on for Elina right now, I think, because she managed to put her pawn on h5. It shouldn't have been allowed, I think. Now it looks very, very nice for white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the knight on g4 attacking the h6 pawn, suddenly this is looking very difficult for Valentina. And if you push f6, that will weaken the 7th rank check, and then knight takes h6.
Knight h6, g4, knight f5. She can escape like this.
Mm-hmm. The knight will land on f5. Also, Valentina is in time trouble.
Yeah, that's good news for Elina.
She plays rook to c8 to take away every single square from the black king.
Knight d6 is possible also.
Very instructive way of playing back and forth, but she's just trying to find... Yeah, although I don't know if she can gain time with 1 second increment, but to test the opponent, if she will defend, and then she pushes f4, g5. This is the way to go. 2 extra pawns for Elina, but both players are really short on time.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
Oh, beautiful. That's to trade the rooks.
h6.
Oh, even better than taking, because now it's going to be 3 pawns up, and Elina wins. So that is a comeback. She still has to win plenty more games for a full comeback, but it's a good start. And if she can make it a winning streak, she has chances. It's a 3-point lead still for Valentina, and 23 minutes left from this portion of the match.
Do you think we will go with equal score into the bullet portion?
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. It's all depending on the final half an hour that's going to be bullet.
Then it's going to be exciting, because actually Valentina Gunina herself went with 1 point lead from 4-point deficit into bullet portion. And that was amazing.
That's true. This is still, of course, almost 23 full minutes left from the 3+1 segment, that is 3-minute plus 1 second increment per move. And the players are here for the grand finale. This is it, the final match. After 50 days of Speed Chess Championship between the top female players in the world, today we will know who's gonna take the bigger portion of the $6,000 prize for today's match. It's $20,000 in total what the players had as prize fund, and there's also an additional 2 tickets, one into the overall Speed Chess Championship for the winner, and also to the FIDE Grand Swiss event in Isle of Man, the Chess.com tournament. So a lot at stake, a lot of prizes.
Yeah, it's indeed a lot of things. What do we have on board? Looks a bit disappointing for black. I don't like the bishop on b7. Well, I should let you to talk about it because this is really your thing.
It's a beautiful piece that has no mobility. No. Well, it's a passive piece because all the pawns, if we highlight, every single pawn of black are on light squares, and therefore if your bishop is on light squares too, it means that it's stuck behind your pawn chain. You wish it was a dark squared bishop on e5, for instance.
Yeah, then it would be great. But if we compare these two bishops, g2 bishop and b7 bishop, we will understand that it's a little bit more active, the g2 bishop, as it is not closed by her own pawns.
Yeah. The good thing about black's, but I was just going to add that the good thing about black's structure is that it's very solid. So even though it's a passive bishop, it's not easy to do something direct for white either. She pushes b4 to create a passed pawn, but it's still not simple at all, the position.
Right. I think white shouldn't have allowed a5 so easily. So b4 at some point could have been an option. But now a lot of things happened and the b file and a file is open. 2 rooks, both b8 and a3 rooks are active enough. And I don't see any problems for black here.
It's interesting how she allowed the capture of the a pawn because she wants to win it back later. So after b4, she allowed b takes a5 to create an a pass pawn by taking on c3. So the other option was a takes b4, c takes b4. Yeah. Now she has faith in stopping that pawn and winning it, actually.
Yeah, and then it would be extra pawn for Elina.
And it looks like she is doing it, that she will manage to get that pawn because bishop b5 is a possibility, or taking immediately, offering white to give up the queen for 2 rooks.
e4. That's a brave move. The idea is if I take fe4, I don't see it. Queen g4 maybe. Queen g4, queen g6, queen g6, hg, bishop a6. That's the idea.
Yeah.
But still looks good compensation for black.
I think so. Yes. After she has captured the a pawn, and now she has these very strong central pawns, it's looking good. The bishop is still passive, but I like to have an extra pawn or 2. So free stuffs over passive pieces, right?
Oh, but that's disappointing. I think queen e3 is not a move. If she went for e4 after fe4, she had to go for check and take the a6 rook and have the exchange, because now she is just 2 pawns down and black can just go rook a4 or rook a2 and it just winning. It seems that it's winning. Elina is taking a lot of time though.
Yes. At least it's about a balanced time management so far. So she's taking her time right now, but it's not too bad. She still has over a minute.
But now bishop b5, rook b4 might be annoying. Rook b4 was a pin.
Yeah, that could have been unpleasant, but it was missed, and now the bishop appears on d3, which is great because it cuts the connection between the rooks and makes this rook on d4 basically trapped.
Seems like another point is coming into Elina's basket.
Yeah, that's a great comeback for the Armenian, 6-time Armenian champion. By the way, Sopiko, I think we don't hear you as well as before. If you can sit closer to the microphone, that may solve the issue.
Ooh, I'm sorry. I am too relaxed.
It's all right. It's all right. I would be relaxed too because we are just having such a good time covering all these events. All the previous matches, I was at Sopiko's place in The Hague. And of course, it's just great when you have Miss Tactics looking after you. She cooks amazing. She had
Oh.
loads of chocolate for me for the snack breaks, and I'm missing out on all that right now.
Oh yeah, I even started to eat chocolates when Anna was here.
Good. Not only carrots.
Not only
Yes.
carrots, right?
I'm a good influence.
You are. You're definitely missed here. But I
miss you
think
too.
after bishop e4, that looks bad, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's
It
over.
does. Double rooks on the second rank, and the bishop is being traded after bishop e4. How do you protect the king?
Yeah, queen d. Mm.
Rook f1, but the rook
Just
g2
mate.
now, and then it's rook.
You mate.
The rook is hanging on f1. Queen takes f1 is mate after queen g1, queen takes g1. Another point for Elina, as you mentioned earlier. She has started to bounce back. She won yet another game. It's going to be now a 2-point lead for Valentina, but it used to be 4 points. So the tendency is in the favor of the underdog, that is Elina Danielian, one more time.
Right, and we have now Queen's Indian on the board without c4, now c4. We transpose into the game. We had it a lot of times in this match also, and in the other matches, d5, cd, ed, and we have same structure of hanging pawns.
It is once again the same variation. Elina loves this kind of positions with the bishop on b2, then bringing the rooks to d1 and c1. It starts out very solid, but then the position can become crazy depending on when you open up the position with a pawn break and some tactical motives.
Yeah, knight c6, though Valentina is changing her plan. Usually we see knight d7, d takes c5, b takes c5, queen b6, rook c8, and so on. Knight c6 is another way, though I have to say that I prefer the knight on d7.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you that with the hanging pawns, I also like to have the knight on d7 with ideas of going toward the queen side, or knight e4, knight f6. Knight c6 is the other option of developing the knight. And after rook d1, usually black will bring the rooks to the c, and d5. The question is always, where do you place the queen?
Yeah.
Bishop d6.
It's another way, probably queen c7, but I have a feeling that with this piece placement, white has more opportunity to put pressure on the weaknesses, on the weak d5 and c5 pawn, because knight c6, it actually disturbs black bishop b7 to support the d5 pawn and the potential knight e4.
Indeed, that's going to happen. It is instructive how they have had hanging pawn structures, isolated pawn structures in all the previous games too. We have seen very thematical positions. And I think that's just a good call for you guys, that if you end up in positions like this, if you play openings that can lead to hanging pawns and isolated pawns, do study these middle games because they are very rich. We cannot explain it in a 10-second comment on each and every move. So if you want to know more about these kind of structures, grab a book, watch videos, depending on what method you prefer for learning. Make sure that you extend your knowledge on middle games as well, not only openings.
And I see our audience is very sharp and alert as well, because there are tactics that they are suggesting.
Ooh, tactics.
Knight d5. Knight d5 was indeed a very good move instead of rook a7. Missed chance for Elina, but I still think that she's doing good. She has good position. Now d5 pawn is again hanging, and how to defend it.
I'm showing the tactics on the board. So knight takes d5 and then check on h7. Then you can take on d5. Knight a4 was played instead. And even like this, it's problematic with this hanging pawn.
It is knight e5, knight e5 we can take. And after knight e5, then c5 pawn drops. And if bishop e5, then bishop d7. Knight c5 now.
Yes,
Will
knight
it be third win? Third straight
win. It will be. Yes, it is Elina on a winning streak. This will be indeed her third victory if she manages to score. And look at the time management. For the first time in the match, she is up almost a minute.
Yeah, indeed. And after knight c5, she has just an extra pawn. Very good position. The d5 pawn is isolated pawn and still cannot be a nice isolated pawn because it's not supported with the pieces. So this looks like a very good chance for the third straight win for Elina.
Mm-hmm. That's an amazing comeback, and it can happen twice in the Women's Chess Championship. Just a reminder that it was Valentina Gunina herself who came back from a 4-point deficit last week in her semifinals against Alexandra Kostenyuk, the chess queen, and then she managed to qualify for today's finals. But Elina, if she makes the same comeback, wow, epic.
I think Valentina is struggling with her internet connection because she seems to be frozen on camera, and she's taking a lot of time.
Yeah, that may be the case. She now has made a move, but unfortunately, she is aware of this. She is on holidays in Bali, Indonesia. It's about 3 a.m. for her, and she said that today it's a stormy weather. There's not much to do with that. Internet is part of the online competition, so the players are aware that they need to provide the best possible technical background for competing in this event.
Yeah, and we can see on her face that she is disappointed. She's puzzled. She doesn't know what is happening because when you have troubles with internet connection, but you're playing the game, you kind of struggle to get back as fast as possible, and it's very difficult.
It is tough for the 3-time European champion. She is leading the match, but she's struggling with the internet connection. And in the bullet games, if she disconnects, even for just a few seconds, that can be crucial.
Oh, that can be really, really bad. But we have to say that the game was going anyway in Elina's favor, and she played amazing. Elina had did all her best to deserve the third point, which is not yet there, but I think it's very likely that she wins this game as well.
Yeah, although Valentina is being tricky, she played knight f3, and queen h5, threatening mate on h2, so
trapping the queen.
Over. Oh, g4, yes, now it is game over because the queen has nowhere to go. Third win for Elina Danielian. What a comeback. It's still a 1-point lead for Valentina, but it used to be 4 points.
4-point lead, and if she wins this one, then she has a chance again to level the match or even take the advantage. It's going to be amazing. Will she be able to level the score? Let us know in the chat. Who do you support and what do you think will happen?
Indeed, we would love to know, and shout out to all 4,180 of you chess fans tuning into the grand finale. This is it. After 50 days of competition, the Women's Chess Championship has come to a close, and today we will know who's going to be the champion that will take a bigger portion of the $6,000. That's the price for today's match. $20,000 overall that has been split between the matches, and the extra tickets to the overall Chess Championship, plus the Chess.com FIDE Grand Swiss in the Isle of Man. A lot at stake today in this match.
A lot at stake indeed. And look at Valentina's clock. She has 2 minutes, 58 seconds. She's playing so fast. She knows that her internet connection might be shaky and she is trying to be as fast as possible. We have very normal middle game from the opening. 95 is one of the moves that can be played here. Bishop g2, king g2, bishop e5, and there can be massive trades in the center.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, that's a possibility. Bishop takes e5. It's going to be the battle between the knight and the bishop, but a very solid pawn structure for black after defending the d5 pawn with c6.
Yeah, and after c6, I like this position for black actually, because after c6 we don't have bishop. We got rid of it, and as I like knight is my favorite piece. Sometimes I even prefer it than the queen.
Really? A knight over the queen? Wow.
I would just if I can get it back with fork.
Yeah, I was gonna say I may prefer the knight over a rook if it's a very strong outpost for the knight that I can find. But the queen, that's an interesting comparison. But yeah, tactical motives can be possible thanks to the knight.
But I love the potential of knight. So in this game as well, I think that knight is better than the bishop.
Mm-hmm. Rook d2 to allow the doubling of the rooks on the d file, and then in the future white would love to push e4, a pawn break, to then attack the d5 pawn that is the one that's covering the d file.
Knight c5, bishop d4. Now knight can go back, knight d7, or maybe d takes c4 can be also applied.
Also possible, yes. Elina once again is low on time. It's a minute time advantage for Valentina. It's been the story of the match that Valentina has been playing very quickly. As she said, that's her strength, and playing too quickly is her weakness.
Yeah. And after f3, probably at some point white wants to play e4, but not right now. I think it would be clever to actually take all attention on to the c file, maybe like rook c2, rook c1, and then c takes d5 will be a threat.
Mm-hmm. I like your idea. I think that may be what the players will also go for. Black has double rooks on the d file. Still a very solid setup, but white has more space and can now try to prepare for a queenside pawn push, a3, b4, gain some more space and create problems by chasing away the knight, and the b6 pawn is a target.
Yeah, d takes c4 was now a must decision, because otherwise c takes d5 and rook c2 would be very annoying. D takes c4 and rook c4, now we have doubled the rooks, so queen g5 is a very nice way to continue.
I like it too. Trading queens so that you undermine the d4 bishop somewhat, because there's the spin on the d file. It is once again Elina who plays very precisely under pressure, less time, and the position has been more pleasant for white, but she finds a way to fight back. I think this has been one of her biggest skills during all the speed chess matches that she played, that she never stops believing in her chances.
Yeah, she's a magician.
She is.
She's really a magician.
Escape artist.
Yeah. Queen g5, f4 is one of the moves, because after queen g5, h5, white would have problems to defend this bishop actually and get out of the pin. So I think f4 and keeping the queens on the board is necessary.
Yes, that's what Valentina thinks as well. Pushes f4 and then goes queen f3 to attack the c6 pawn.
Ooh, but what is this? Queen g6, knight e4, now b5? Bishop is lost, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, suddenly all these moves happened so quickly that by the time I caught up, it was already on the board. It's true. There was a pin on the d5 earlier, and also knight e4 was with the tempo. So b5 attacks the rook, wins the piece. Once again, a win. This is the fourth win, isn't it? Four game winning streak. Elina has made a comeback and tied the score. Only a few minutes left from this portion. We may enter the bullet with an equal score or even an advantage for Elina. Whoa.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's the most impressive final I've ever seen.
This is brilliant.
Dream come true.
It is, and especially taking into account that it's not just that Valentina had a 4-point lead, but she's also the clear favorite. She's very quick, she has a higher rating, and she has been proving that she is one of the very best female players in the field in every single time control, including rapid and blitz. Elina has been the underdog in all the previous matches, and now she made a comeback from a 4-point deficit.
That's amazing. Unbelievable. What will happen in this game, it would be very important too, because I guess this is the last game of the 3.1 portion, and then we will have bullet. So will Elina or Valentina go with point lead into the bullet portion? We shall see soon.
I still can't believe that she has produced this comeback. It's been a really exciting match. even the beginning where it was Valentina who had good positions, but it was Elina who scored. And then the other way around, Elina slipped. She lost on time in a position where she had an exchange up and she struggled with time management in many of the games. But now she made it. She tied the score from a situation that seemed impossible.
Yeah, and important decisions were taken in this game after c5. I'm not a big fan of c5 at this point because when the queen is on b3, it blocks the b2 pawn, and b6 can be played from black side. But both players decided to castle short very quickly, first finish the development and then take the action. But sometimes I think that is not appropriate, as b6 instead of castle would be very strong in my opinion.
Yes, b6 is an option, and it's still something that black is aiming for because you need to create counter chances. You cannot just allow white to take away so much space from you with the pawn on c5, and then even b4, b5 could come. So black will try to create either b6, pawn break, or e5 in the center.
Yeah, I like what is happening for black here. e5, she got rid of the light squared bishop, and breakthrough in the center looks very good for black. After e5, now queen has to go, and black can still leave the pawn on e5 or e4. That happened. I like it with f5, f4 attacking. The knight on a4 is a bad piece.
It is really misplaced, and it's gonna take plenty of tempi for white to bring it back. Knight c3 and then knight e2, knight f4, but black is quick. f4 is already on the board.
Yeah, f4, e takes f4, queen f4, but it doesn't look very good for white. Now bishop d8, bishop c7 is one of the options. Bishop g5 is another. So many moves and so many nice tricks for black. Rook f6, rook g6. Ooh, I really like it.
Miss Tactics is mate already, but I agree with you. I like the bishop d8, bishop c7 maneuver to create the queen bishop battery and attack the h2 square, threatening mate, plus the rook lift over the 6th rank. So much potential in black's position, and white is also low on time. It's a 2-minute time advantage for Valentina.
Yeah, this looks like a very, very good chance for Valentina to keep 1 point lead, because now the score is equal. This looks like a good chance for Valentina, but we know that Elina is magician.
She is. After f4, black needs to take a big decision whether to capture that pawn or not. She decides to keep it so that she has this e4 passed pawn, protected passed pawn, looking promising. e3 is not possible because of the spin. Unfortunately for black, the queen would be hanging.
Yeah. Bishop h4, though. Bishop h4?
Yes. What is wrong with bishop h4? That would be a skewer, and g3 is not possible because black can take it. Ooh. Bishop h4.
Missed.
And still bishop h4.
Still bishop h4. g3, bishop g3, maybe rook g2. That's maybe the thing that she's afraid.
Well, maybe that now she plays it. And g3, what Sopiko said, if bishop takes, rook g2 is a pin. That's true.
Oh, that's nice. Bishop g3, rook g2, bishop f2, king f2, e3.
I'm going to show that on the board. Tactics by Miss Tactics. Instead of going back with the bishop, bishop f2 check, king takes e3, would have won the queen. What a beautiful tactic, Amote, but now we need to catch up with the game because there are only seconds left for Elina. That was a missed chance for Valentina. She could have taken the pawn on g3. Yeah. This is the current position after queen d1.
Queen d1 and queen h5 maybe. I want to take the h3 pawn, rook b2. Valentina still has good chance. Giving the a pawn. But I didn't like how it went for black, because knight on e3 looks like a good, looks like that she managed to block this e4 pawn. And then if f5, knight f4 happens, then it might not be so easy.
Yes, and white has activated the queen, though only 8 seconds left for Elina and a minute for Valentina. This is it, the final game. After this game, the segment with 3 minutes plus 1 second portion. That's over. We're going to have a short break for the players, and then we are back with the final and most exciting part, the bullet, 1 minute plus 1 second increment.
Yeah, and now the knight is gone. The bishop, queen, c7. I still like black's chances. I still think, oh, wait, rook e2, rook e2.
Yep,
Ooh.
that's a hanging piece. What was f5 about?
G4.
Elina cracked under pressure in the end, but she was low on time. Valentina wins the last game, so she enters the bullet portion with a point advantage, but it used to be 4 points, which is a good news. It's really still a huge comeback from Elina's side. So we're going to see what happens in the bullet. We'll go for a short break, and then we are back with the last half an hour of the grand finale. 1 point lead for Valentina Gunina. Can she keep it?
See you very soon.
Fisher Random Chess, a game where creativity is king and memorization impossible. 960 different back rank configurations turn the world's best chess players into mere competitors trying to outwit and outclass each other with every unprepared move. Only one will be worthy of the title of Fischer Random Chess Champion, but the best part is that champion could be you. The Fischer Random Chess Championship will be unlike any tournament ever held. With a global qualification system, for the first time ever, everybody truly has a chance to prove themselves the best player in the world at a chess variant. Are you a chess artist worthy of the 11th World Champion's admiration? We're going to find out. The tournament features open qualifiers beginning on April 28th and the title player qualifier stage beginning in June. Over $300,000, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, and world champion Magnus Carlsen await you at the later stages. The Fischer Random Chess Championship title is there for the taking. Will you make a run at it? Go to frchess.com today to register and stay tuned to Chess.com for all the latest news and updates regarding this historic event. It's the FIDE World Fischer Random Chess Championship organized by Doomed AS and Chess.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the grand finale of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. The first time ever that Chess.com is hosting an event for the top female players in the world. Sopiko and I have been covering every single match. And today, Sopiko, what is it that we are witnessing between Elina Danielian and Valentina Gunina?
I don't know. It's nerve-wracking. It's the most exciting final I have ever seen. And I think that they did not disappoint me at all. I thought that it would happen like this, but I did not expect that Valentina would have 4-point lead and then Elina would manage and come back. That was amazing. I didn't believe it.
It's a huge comeback, and there's so much at stake. $20,000 in total has been the prize fund for this event of Chess.com. And today, $6,000 will be divided between the players. $3,000 for the winner, and the other $3,000 is split by win percentage. Plus, the winner will get into the overall Speed Chess Championship as well as into the Chess.com FIDE Grand Swiss in the Isle of Man in October. A lot to play for with only half an hour left from the match, and it's bullet just starting right now.
Yeah, and we have e4 once again the French defense. What we will see, there is no more exchange French, but knight d2. Anna, it's all yours.
The Tarrasch variation of the French defense. We have seen the exchange variation, we have seen the winnover, and now the Tarrasch variation. It's again an isolated pawn structure, so we keep emphasizing that if you guys want to study more chess, also focus on middle game structures such as the isolated pawn, because it can arise from many different openings. I would play this with the white pieces because I like to play against the isolated pawn and claim that it's a weak pawn.
Yeah. In this case, I agree with you, because what I like is that I like to have my knight on e4, rook on f8, f5, queen f6, queen h6, this type of attack, but in this position, it's not possible. So I would also like to play this position with white pieces and against isolated pawn. But I think Elina doesn't mind it, and she believes that she has enough potential to have counter chances on the king side.
She definitely believes so, and creating the queen bishop battery on the diagonal makes perfect sense. Now she wants to eliminate the defender. That knight on f3 was protecting the h2 square, and it's crucial that now after either queen takes or even rook takes e5, there are tactical motives by moving the rook away. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, both queens are hanging.
It was from Elina.
Woo.
Rook e5, bishop f4. You would think that bishop f4 is a pre-move in case of queen e5 or rook e5, but rook e2, amazing tactic. Now rook b2, and Elina is having 2 extra pawns.
2 extra pawns, and the c3 pawn is also a target. What a nice way to play with rook takes e5, creating a tactical motive and making your opponent believe that you blundered bishop f4 as if you win an exchange, but it was the bishop idea of Elina. Wow.
Yeah, that was indeed amazing. Knight c5, bishop b5 was not possible, I believe, but I don't know why at the moment. It doesn't matter. We have rooks and bishops on the board, but 2 extra pawns for Elina. She should make it, but she should be faster.
She definitely should speed up once again. She's low on time. 14 seconds left for the underdog in this match, who has proved that it doesn't matter that she's an underdog. She made her way into the finals by winning every single match and the qualifier tournament.
Yeah, she's been here for a long time. She played more games and more matches than the invited players, and she showed us that she is a very, very strong opponent for anybody.
That is true. Now with the D postpawn marching plus the B postpawn, it's going to be impossible for White to stop both.
Yeah, but Elina has to be very fast. Only 8 seconds on the clock, but 2 pawns are very, very difficult to stop. And after check, we can just come to the center with the king.
Yeah, activating the king is always useful in endgames. King c5, king e5 can come. And rook takes f3 just
but
to...
rook d8. Rook d8. Okay,
yeah,
still winning.
I think she did still on purpose. Bishop d5, yeah. Beautiful finish, because that means that next move is d1. Very well played. If she had promoted earlier, rook d8 would have picked up the queen.
And we have equal score once again. It couldn't be more exciting. I'm so happy that the match is going this way. I hope that it's not very, very annoying for the players, but this is a great show.
It's an emotional roller coaster for both of them, definitely. But that's why it is only for the brave soul, only for the strongest of female players in the Women's Speed Chess Championship. And these 2 ladies have proved to be the toughest. They made it to the finals. And one of them will become the champion of the first ever Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship.
Yeah. Queen d2, bishop b7. I like the chances for White here because Black still has to do something to equalize. Usually c5 or e5. Ooh, bishop h6. That's
nice.
A nice one. If g takes h6, then after queen h6, knight g5, you cannot protect so many things.
That's a thematic sacrifice, giving up a piece on h6 so that then knight g5 comes. It's not even immediate, but that attack is so strong that it can't be accepted. So Valentina goes for rook fd8 instead, but it's a pawn down. Bishop g7, continuing with the attack. Look at Elina going for it. She's turning the tables.
Usually they call it like 3-piece rule, 1 piece to sacrifice, 1 piece to protect, and another piece to deliver the mate. So we are on the final stage. Where's the mate?
Yeah, the knight helping from e5. The queen is about to go to the back rank, and we need something that can attack the f8 bishop, or we need more pieces. Maybe the e5 if we can push the e5.
Yeah, knight e5. Rook d4, queen h8.
Yeah, sure. What's going on with this rook d4 move?
Well, after rook d4, queen e5, she wants to play, but after queen h8, bishop f5, we can even take queen f6.
Yeah, bishop f8, queen takes f6. That's it. That's a free piece. And this means now that White is even material up and the attack continues. Rook d7 is a threat.
Yeah, take, rook d7. 1 extra pawn.
I'm not sure if I would have traded queens, though, because the black king was struggling in the middle of the board, but Elina goes for the safe continuation. Maybe it's too safe.
It's too safe because she has 9 seconds, only 9 seconds on the clock, and it would be very pity if she flags.
Definitely. b3 to defend the c4 pawn, b5, attacking on the queen side. Black has a pair of bishops to compensate for the lack of the pawn, but she survived worse positions. Valentina was struggling in this game a lot.
Yeah, bishop c4, knight g7, knight f5 looks like a good plan, but king
1 second left, Elina. She has to make. She flags.
Because of king f7. King f7 was such a nice move. Well done, Valentina. It is very pity for Elina that she flagged, but king f7 deserved the point.
Elina could not believe it. She was about to win that game. Maybe not by the end, but she clearly had a winning attack earlier on. She must have missed a decisive variation.
Bishop g6 was mate. Oh my God.
The final position. Unfortunately, I cannot go back to it because the new game has started, but you guys can look up all those games by going to Chess.com and find the players, Classy L and Gunina 1989. Wow.
She missed mate.
Mate in
Mate
one.
in one. She missed mate in one. Oh my God, that's frustrating. That's frustrating.
It's just that there's no time to go through the old games because this is bullet and the new game has started. Unless you guys want us to go back to it, but I think we should focus on the current action, and anyone can look up those moments, the missed chances. Plus, there will be a recap article on all those moments as well. Wow.
Ooh, that was huge. That was really huge. Okay, back to the actual game right now. What do we have on board? Bishop f2 and c takes d4. Usually, this pawn on d4 is protected and supported with c3 pawn, but now knight is on c3, and this is a very logical continuation. What Black is trying to get rid of the pieces and get the knight on e4, but she's struggling with, once again, bad bishop on b7. Though a5, b4 is one of the plans that she can play.
Yeah, that's another plan. And once again, it is now an attack for Valentina. That's a possible attack. White has been doing well in the recent games, creating threats against the black king. b4 trying to create counterplay on the queen side makes perfect sense because the b2 pawn is a target, and this knight maneuver is dangerous, but it takes a while to get the knight to, for instance, g5.
Yeah, queen h6, some potential to attack with rook f3 and rook h3. How to defend it? Probably queen e7. Rook d8 is another way because we want to play queen f8. Now rook h3, unfortunately for white, is not possible because of knight f2.
So the queen is being traded on f8, but it's only 7 seconds left for Elina, going down to 5 seconds.
Oh, Elina has to be faster. She has to play faster.
It's still so frustrating that she knows that she was winning in the previous game. And I was even saying that maybe by the end she wasn't winning. I didn't realize myself that it was mate in one. It happened so quickly.
Yeah. It's but I think she probably knows it because her reaction was really, really bad.
Yeah, she must have been calculating, and that's when she flagged.
Yeah. So is there any tactics going on? Bishop f5, such a nice move. It's very nice. F5. E takes f5, rook e5, but otherwise we can take on e6.
Only 2 seconds left for Elina, and the pawn has fallen.
A lot of things going on. A lot of tactics. Now, if I thought that instead of knight e6, bishop e6 would have been better, but now we have like...
Yeah, it's equal material right now. 3 seconds left for Elina, but this should be a draw unless one of the players will blunder.
Or flag.
Yeah, basically that's the story. Anything can happen.
b4 has to be played now. Oh, it's just a piece. b4
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the blunder. The knight has been captured.
Knight has been captured, but Elina has only 3 seconds. Will she manage? I think she will. At least if she flags here, if the rooks are gone, then it's draw. But I think she will manage to win this one.
She'll manage to win it. And what a comeback by Elina Danielian, now tying the score. She had to struggle through this game after knowing that she missed a winning chance and flagged in the previous game. Wow. And now it's a tie score with 90 minutes left from the match. 19 minutes to decide the champion.
She is a real fighter, and I'm impressed by Elina. I'm really impressed the way she's playing and the way she is finding herself. She has such skills, such time management. She's just amazing.
It is amazing. And a big shout out to all 4,505 chess fans out there tuning in to the finals of the Women's Speed Chess Championship, either here on Twitch or on Chess TV. We so appreciate you are here with us. And make sure to also clip your favorite moments for the clip of the day that's going to come very soon before the interviews. And a reminder that we want to know who would you like to see in next year's Speed Chess Championship. For the top female players, use the hashtag SpeedChess to let us know about your favorite picks.
Do that. And Elina is going for straightforward attack. I loved this h5, h4, h5, g4 right now. If fg4, queen g4, queen also joins the attack, and this will be very dangerous for Valentina.
The king is still in the middle of the board, but as you said, the attack of white is going on the king's side. She doesn't care that the king is still here because she can castle queen's side.
Yeah, and d4 is a nice chance to mess things up, to create the chaos. And we know that Valentina is known for that. She's creating chaos out of nowhere.
That's indeed what all of her opponents pointed out as one of the main strengths of Valentina. Now there's a queen trade on g4. That's a bit of a relief for black so that her king doesn't get mated.
Yeah, now I think it looks pretty okay for black, but still the g file is dangerous, I think. King d2, rook g1, knight f6, knight d6, all these moves are very, very attractive.
I agree with you, and Valentina has come back from a position that seemed to be really dangerous. She managed to find a way to liquidate, to simplify the position. She still needs to find the right maneuver to develop on the queen side, I was going to say, because the bishop and the rook are still struggling, but she takes her time first to move out of rook takes g7.
Yeah, I think that instead of rook g3, rook d8 would have been better just to keep the pin on the 8th rank, but this was also possible, though now black managed to escape from a serious trouble.
She did, and now the pieces have been developed. The king is active on d6. This is looking good for Valentina in comparison to what could have been the position earlier. It is 10.5. With only 16 minutes left from the match, this is it, the final portion of the grand finale. This is the championship match.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And only 13 seconds for Valentina Gunina. And now it's Elina who has more time and better position. She is about to win this game, I think.
She
and score
picked up the g7 pawn. That was crucial, creating an h-pass pawn that should have been prevented by Valentina, but she couldn't, and Elina wins. She takes the lead. She was down 4 points. 4-point lead for Valentina Gunina was the story earlier, and Elina said that the bullet portion is not her strongest point. And here she is scoring win after win.
That's amazing. It's really amazing to see her journey through the final to the final, and also how she's playing in the final. It's an amazing match, awesome, and I think that it will be even more exciting because we have still 15 minutes, and I really wish that now Valentina bounces back and we have the equal score.
It may be the case because Valentina will not give in for sure. She's famous for her very speedy calculations. She herself said that her strength is playing quickly and her weakness is playing too quickly. So she needs to find the balance, but she definitely doesn't struggle that much with time management because she is quick in general.
Yeah. c5 is on the board, rook d1, and if black takes on d4, she can always take on d4, so I think black should not hurry, but f4 is another way to create something. This is the isolated pawn I like to see.
All right, so there's attacking potential. That's what Sofiko is saying. f5 is on the board. You want to open up the f5, and also this bishop and the other bishop are pointing at the black king.
Yeah, queen c5 is not scary because of just king h1. It doesn't bring anything, but still it's nice to give check. Rook c7 and e6. That's a very nice move. If f takes e6, then bishop e6. Now after king h8, queen h5. Cannot we play queen h5?
Yeah, it looks like there's some immediate danger. Oh, I'm drawing the wrong arrow. It all the way to h5, attacking the h7 pawn. And if h6, bishop takes h6. Rook takes c7 first.
Yeah, rook takes c7. Now bishop at h7. Take it. Come on, bishop h7.
Bishop takes h7 is a possibility. Yes, it's on the board. The queen is hanging. And that very important pawn from in front of the king has been captured. It's not just the extra pawn, but the fact that the king is weak.
Yeah, and we will see equal score again.
Yeah, queen d5, though, is still tricky because it's a threat of mate on g2.
Now Elina has 8 seconds, 20 seconds for Valentina, and good position. 1 extra pawn, 2 bishops, and an attack.
She
Ooh.
just shouldn't blunder, but there are tactics all over the board. Who tricked who? Wait, if she takes the rook, then knight to g3
G3.
and
Oh
mate
my
on
God, this was
g2.
a
She
blunder.
couldn't take the
Oh
rook.
my
She
God.
couldn't take it. It's a piece up for Elina. Piece
Oh
up.
my God, this was a blunder.
She thought that she was tricky, but she was being tricked.
Yeah, and now it's very, very dangerous for white because black back rank is very weak and white's king is weak as well. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
it's a
what's
piece
going
for
on?
Elina, 2 points for the piece. But what a comeback.
Oh my God, queen
Oh
d5.
no! She blundered her queen. Whoa! From a piece up to blundering your queen, the Botas Gambit, as it's known on Twitch.
Ooh.
And the score is tied again.
Okay, I need to take a pill.
I need a moment, a bit of water, maybe.
Oh
I
my
should pour
God.
it on my face, perhaps, top of my head.
Yeah, that was painful.
That was really painful.
Now the thing is that in this position after a b4, what black should not allow is b4 b5. But I think white is on her way to play, so black got into trick somehow. This is an opening trick because once white achieves b4 b5, then her play is much easier. Usually what happens is that black plays a6 and rook c8 or a castle, but she has a tempo. She should not allow b4, b5 without any problems.
Yeah, this is once again the story of having more space as white, pushing b5 so that you can expand further on the queen side. I'm still under the effect of the previous game. And we also have a diagram from the missed mate from one of the earlier games of Elina where she lost on time, but she just missed mating one with bishop to g6. What a story.
Yeah, she missed mate in one, she flagged, and now Elina wins because Valentina flags.
She must have disconnected.
Yeah.
This is the problem that Valentina knew that this could be an issue. She is on holidays in Bali, Indonesia, and at the moment it's 3:30 in the morning. The weather is really stormy. She said in advance that she's struggling. She talked to the hotel, but they did their best. She has disconnected, and we are hoping that she will get back. She has 10 minutes to come back. So the next game will not start. She lost this game, but she has 10 minutes to make it back to the match before the clock will begin again.
Yeah, it is tough. It's really frustrating. She is there on her holidays and it is midnight there. She's playing and
past midnight. I think it's like 3:30 for her.
Oh yeah. It is 3:30. It is really, really late, and she's forced to have hotel connection, and when you have hotel connection, it's never for sure if it's stable or not.
Definitely. I love the fact how both on Chess TV and on Twitch, you guys are blaming the one and only Danny Ran. Shout out to Danny for being here in the chat. Also, Gotham Chess just appearing. Levy. Hello, everyone. We are also looking at the Chess TV chat, of course, Twitch and Chess TV. Make sure to hang out with us on both channels. And if you're not following the Twitch channel of Chess.com, please do so. Go to twitch.tv/chess and hit the follow button because that's how you will be notified via email every time we start the broadcast, the Junior Speed Chess Championship, the Overall Speed Chess Championship, and so many other fun stuff such as the Pro Chess League Summer Edition. I am so looking forward to all those matches as well and hoping that Valentina will make it back to the grand finale. It's a point lead now for Elina.
Oh, me too. I really, really hoping that she will get back and we will see her playing bullet portion, but she has 10 minutes, as you mentioned already, and then we will know the decision, what happens. I hope that she will be back as soon as possible, but I can understand that that's very difficult.
It is. We will go for a quick break before we continue the match and the commentary. Make sure to stay with us. It's going to be a quick break, and we are hoping to have Valentina here with us very shortly for the rest of the bullet. See you very soon. Welcome back to the broadcast, everybody, and welcome back, Valentina. It's great to have you back and that the internet connection in Bali has been sorted out. She is here with us again with the white pieces fighting against Elina. It's a 1-point lead for the Armenian champion. Let's see if Valentina can make a comeback this time.
Yeah, she lost the game on time, the previous game.
Oh, she's about to lose the second one. I'm afraid that she couldn't solve her internet issues for the match. She lost the previous game because of the same issue, that she could start the game, but then the internet would drop. This is a really sad story because the score was equal before she started having internet issues.
Yeah, that's really sad. And it's really important. The time is very, very important in Bullet, but she cannot make it. Unfortunately, we see on the webcam, it doesn't work for her.
This is a really sad story. Unfortunately, she was aware of this. She knew that when she booked her holiday, she didn't take into account the finals dates because she didn't even know if she would qualify. Right. It was a pleasant surprise for her that she made it to the finals. But at the same time, it is now 3:30 in the morning in Bali, in Indonesia. That's where she's on holidays. And even though she was very happy to qualify for the finals, she knew that she may have internet issues in the hotel.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. It's drama. This is drama.
It is drama. $20,000 is the overall prize fund. Just a reminder to everybody, I see that it's being discussed that it's going to be decided with an internet connection. It's not really the case. The players have been winning prize money with each and every match, advancing toward the finals. Today, it's $6,000 on the line, $3,000 for the winner, and the other $3,000 is divided by win percentage. Valentina and Elina, they both are aware that internet connection is part of online competition, and they should make sure that they have the best possible internet, because this is how it goes online. It is on the players to provide the best possible technical background for the competition.
Yeah, unfortunately for her, she is in Indonesia, and as she said, the weather is very bad, so probably it's not even that in the hotel they have bad internet, but because of the weather,
and she's back. So let's hope that now the internet connection will stay, and anything can still happen because it's Bullet and there's still time for Valentina to make a comeback. She's a very strong, fast player. That is, speed is one of her best skills. So if the internet stays like this, I'm sure that she can make a comeback. It has been a very close match overall.
Yeah, indeed. So now Elina has 2-point lead, but because of Valentina's time, internet problems, now if Valentina wins this game, she will be closer to equalize the score. And then we will see what will happen. 95, bishop e5 is one of the way, or d takes d5 is also possible. Then d5 pawn drops.
Yes, that's the problem. After the knight has to go, the d5 pawn will be taken. I'm just hoping that the internet the collection is what I have of leather-bound books, but the internet connection is important in body so that Valentina can keep competing and have chances in this match.
Yeah, unfortunately, this game is not going in her way as she already lost to the pawn, but I can understand that it's very difficult to come back and focus on the game when you don't know if you have good connection or not.
At the same time, we saw Harika Dronavali, who also had internet issues right at the beginning of the match.
Oh my God, the bishop was hanging.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we go back to bishop?
I'll try to. Well, now it's a fork. Sorry. I'm sorry, Sopika, but we went back in the wrong moment. Knight e7 fork with the queen. I will not move. I'll not move the position anywhere. I'm sorry, but it's happening so quickly. We cannot go back. It's once again a point for Elina Danielian. Valentina cannot believe it. This is nuts. Valentina had a 4-point lead and she is the favorite in the match. Now Elina has completely turned the tables.
Oh my God, this is incredible. Elina just dropped the piece last time. Bishop b1 was hanging, and that's why I wanted to show. But yeah, there was no time. There was so many things going on. Now, most important is that Valentina has good connection, and let's see if she can come back.
6 minutes left from the match, and that should still be enough for her to tie the score. In case it's a tie, there will be a 4-game mini match if we reach a tie by the end of the bullet portion. So that is still a possibility for Valentina if she wins 3 games.
Yeah, but she has to do it very fast. Only 5 minutes left for the bullet section, and Elina has 3-point lead. It will be very, very difficult for Valentina, but let's see how she will recover.
She has to. What she does very well is that she keeps playing really quickly. She only used over 10 seconds to reach this position where she has more space, very active pieces, and an attack, pinning now the knight on g6. The other knight too is struggling, has to go to b8. This is the French, even without the bad bishop, the French bishop, is still quite a passive position for black.
Yeah, I thought h4 should have been played instead of knight d2, because it's just played in every game. But I think that now black is doing pretty okay, since that she managed to regroup with this very nice knight b8, knight c6 maneuver. With knight a5, knight c4 was also possible, but now Elina probably wants to repeat the moves. Just after knight c6, bishop a3, it was possible to have 3-fold repetition.
f5 is a nice way to close the diagonal because the capture was not possible because of the hanging bishop on d6. c4, a breakthrough, and it's still a pleasant position for white with active pieces, more time on the clock. If Valentina stays in the game with internet connection, then it's a good chance for her to make a comeback.
Indeed. But c-file is under Elina's control, so I think that Elina is doing pretty okay. Just the time matters right now, and the connection, of course. White's bishop on d6 is a very nice one. Now probably h4 would make sense, but also queen b5 to blockade and not allow not allow b5.
Both players are down to the last few seconds. Anything happen? I'm expecting a mouse slip, a blunder. This is the stage of the game where a serious mistake is likely, unfortunately.
Yeah, knight d6 takes. We can take on b7. Oh my!
The queen is gone. Speaking of big mistakes, the queen is gone. It's just a rook for it. Oh well.
6 seconds for both players. It's not much. Knight f5 tactics. She should play for mate. Queen c2 and oh my God, bishop b2. This looks like it should be winning. Queen c8, queen f8 maybe, bishop b2. Okay.
And now she takes on e6 to attack the knight, queen f5 check. This is a winning position, but both players are down to 5 seconds.
Yeah, queen e6 and queen... Oh my God. Queen e8 mate.
Now it's mate. Queen e8 mate. Valentina wins. So it is the way to do it. 2 more games she needs to win to tie the score, and the time is ticking. Can she do it? She has to win this game and the next one real quick.
She has to do it really quick because we have only 3 minutes left, but she has to win 2 games. That's so unfortunate for Valentina Gunina that she lost 2 games on connection.
Yes, it's really unfortunate, but unfortunately for her, it's part of the competition, the internet connection. And Elina cannot be handicapped by the fact that it's her opponent who disconnected. So we also need to value Elina's time and respect that she has been here. She has a good connection, even though she said herself that it's a stormy weather in Yerevan as well. So both players could have had issues with the internet.
Yeah, it's none of their fault. Just the weather is the one to blame because of the weather, nobody can have good connection. But back to the game, after knight d4 looks like a very nice move, having the outpost, but then bishop d4 trade happens and queen e5. I like it for black.
It is a nice position with more space now, bringing the other rook as well to d8 to support the d4 pawn. It is Valentina who is pushing again. She's very quick and she has to be quick because we are down to the final minute of the match. She has to win this game real quick to get another game and have a chance to tie the score.
Exactly. After queen e7, h4 once again. g5 is a nice way to play, but bishop g4, can we take on d4? Then we would have massive trades on d4 and black could take queen e2 as well.
Oh, I'm just looking at the clock. It's less than a minute, and that's gonna be it if Elina hangs on. She can lose this game, but she has to lose it after the time is up. Otherwise, we're gonna start a second game. I don't know. I don't know. This is just all such a roller coaster. The whole match has been an epic battle where it seemed that Valentina was in full control, 4-point lead, and she was the favorite. But then it was Elina who made a comeback, and then the disconnection came. Just everything added up in the end for Valentina, it seems.
Yeah. And Elina is doing good in this game. I don't think that she will lose. She has an extra pawn. Black cannot take on e2 because the bishop on c5 is hanging. And having this position, if Elina manages to draw it, then she would win the final.
She is the champion. It's official because the time is up. It is the last game, and that means that even if she loses this game, which is not possible in this position, it's a draw. It's Elina Danielian who wins the match and the championship, being the clear underdog. She came back from a 4-point deficit. It's an really impossible, almost made the impossible possible by coming back from a 4-point deficit. We will talk to the players, so don't go anywhere. We'll go for a short break to get ready for the post-match interview. And it's a really sad story, of course, for Valentina.
Wait for the interviews. rook d3 is possible, but it gives e4. Rook e4. Oh,
The queen! One move blunder. Was that a mouse slip? She may have wanted to play queen to e5 and she went queen e6. This is such bad luck for Elina, who was already in a 3-point disadvantage in the match. Now it's 4 points, the lead of Valentina Gunina. Welcome back, everybody, to the broadcast of the grand finale. This has been it, the last match of the Women's Chess Championship. What an emotional finish. Valentina, we are very sorry on the first hand for you for having had internet issues. We know that it has been difficult for you to play from your holiday location. And at the same time, congratulations to you, Elina, because you fought your way back from a 4-point deficit. That must have been a struggle too. What are your first thoughts, Elina, on the match?
Thank you, Anna, first of all. First thoughts, I'm very happy. What else can be? It was a long way, it was a tough way, and it was a very, very interesting way. And I'm really very much thankful for Chess.com to have such opportunity to try to play in Women's Chess Championship. I hope Chess.com can create more women's tournaments.
I'm sure that with your feedback and also how welcoming the viewers were on Twitch and Chess TV, this is going to become an annual event, and maybe more and more female tournaments will appear on Chess.com. Valentina, we also need to ask about your thoughts. You were leading the match. When do you think it slipped out of your hands, in the 3+1 or the bullet?
Before I couldn't play. Sorry, but I have no comment because I'm really so upset because I lose by two games by internet, and I have 4 a.m. at morning. So.
Yes, you did your best to play from a holiday.
It's not the right that I have so bad connection, because it was obviously before that it would be like that, because it's Bali, it's some hotel, just like congrats to Elina for sure, but I'm really upset because I think it's.
Thank you, Valentina. Like yes, at the end I was lucky with your connection.
Yeah, but it's not about fighting. I mean, it's not about chess. It's about only bad connection.
I know it's very sad when it's not.
We played very, very interesting match, and after when I stopped, it started when we played three minutes, and it started to be bad connection, and
it also should be very late at your place. Yes,
right now. It's like collapse.
We are really sorry for all that, Valentina, and we appreciate that you still took part of the match.
I think it wasn't a good idea to do like this because, okay, losing by time. I have no words anymore. I'm really, really upset.
That's very understandable, and we are sorry for how the experience turned out for you. We hope that next time you will be back to compete and that you will have no internet issues. It also was unfortunate that your holidays were clashing with the finals. Elina, you were the underdog in every single match you played, and you even had to fight to be in this field by winning the qualifier tournament. How would you sum up your journey to make it to the championship match and even win it?
Oh, I don't know. Probably I was just lucky.
But
And,
you're a fighter yourself, because today in the match you had a 4-point deficit to come back
yeah,
from.
because at some point I just realized that I should play faster, and that's all. I was slipping game by game. It was just incredible. I lost so many games just blundering in one move because of time trouble. So at some point, I said to myself, "Come on, play faster, and then you can gain back your points." So that's all.
Elina, for you,
And of course, I was lucky with Valentina's connection. So at the end, it was just my luck.
and for you, the preparation was the same as against Harika. Did you solve once again 1-2 move tactics?
Yes, but this time I tried to have more rest and save my energy for the last fight.
At some point, we were shocked that, of course, you had very nice games, and then you really had to play faster because you were losing the games on time. But you missed mate in one. Did you realize that at some point Bishop G6 was made? Did you see that mate?
The one where I attacked with Bishop H6 and Bishop G7. Yes, it was very nice game. Bishop G6 mate when my knight was on E5. Yes.
When the knight was on E6, King E8, rook. Your
knight on
rook
E6 or
knight was on E6.
What I played instead?
Sorry.
What I played instead of mate in one?
No, you just lost on time, and I was just interested.
That was a very pity game for me, yes, but I think I didn't see mate in one. It's really very pity.
It is very difficult.
Yes.
Before the start of the match, actually, you told me that you're wearing the lucky shirt. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. I put on the blues, in which I was when I played against Katerina Lagno. So, and I thought,
not bringer.
This blues, and then let's end with this one again.
Nice. So we now know that's just players. We believe in superstitions, and it worked.
Yes, we are all superstitious.
Congratulations to you one more time, Elina. And with this victory, you not only have won the cash prize that we were talking about during the match, but you also get into the overall Speed Chess Championship, where some of your opponents may be the husband of Sapiko, Anish Giri, or Hikaru Nakamura. How do you feel about playing that field, the best male players in the world?
That is not the happiest part of winning this championship. But I will not think about it. Let them to think about it. So they have to win it. So I will be more relaxed. I will try to enjoy. Where else I can play against Anish Giri or Nakamura?
That's a very nice approach. I like it.
Indeed. And of course, today's prize fund is $6,000. $3,000 goes to the winner, and the other $3,000 is divided by win percentage. So obviously, Valentina also gets her prize. And Elina, the other prize you won with today's victory is that you will play in the Chess.com FIDE Grand Swiss tournament in the Isle of Man in October.
That is most my happiest part. Yeah, I am very happy about that because it's
we are glad.
Playing in that tournament, so it's just I'm very happy about it, really.
But if you win that one, you get into the candidates.
You think I can?
You have been the underdog, so
yeah, that will be very funny.
Is there something coming for you?
I think if that would happen, the rest of players, they will just retire.
We're looking forward to that then.
Yeah, I'm very looking forward for that.
We want to congratulate you, Elina, one more time. And Valentina, we are sorry for what happened. We hope that you'll be back in future events to compete again, because you have proved to be one of the toughest opponents to everybody in this field. You were the one who won 24 points to 5 points against Irina Krush. That was the biggest lead in a match. And you also won in an epic battle against your teammate, Alexandra Kostenyuk. That was another nail biter. So we hope that we'll see you next time also, and that you will have no internet issues for the upcoming online competitions. Elina, one more time, congratulations for winning the first ever Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. You're the champion.
Thank you very much, and I also want to add thank you to Valentina for such a nice match, for such a nice fight, interesting fight, and I can understand that she's very upset because of losing, because of connection. So I can understand that, but it's a sport, so it can happen, and maybe next time you can win. So everything is possible. Anyway, thank you for an interesting match.
Good luck to both of you in your upcoming events.
Thank you.
That has been it, the final match, the grand finale of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. It's been 50 days of competition from the qualifier tournament that Elina won to get a ticket into the field, and then she went on to defy all odds. She knocked out the top seed, Katerina Lano, in her first match. Then she beat another friend of hers, Harika Dronavalli, and today she overcame a 4-point deficit against Valentina Gunina, who was the clear favorite according to our predictions. She is higher rated and also a faster player than Elina. And even like this, she made it, she came back, and then luck was on her side. It's needed in sports sometimes.
What a day, what a journey, and amazing. I'm really impressed by Elina's journey in this tournament. As you mentioned, she went through so many matches and qualification tournaments. She really deserved to be a winner. I'm really looking forward to see her in the Speed Chess Championship. Who she's gonna be facing? I hope not Anish.
What do you think will happen if she faces Anish, which is actually likely, because if Anish is the top seed, maybe, yeah, it should be by rating. If she will be the lowest rated, I think she's gonna face Anish.
I don't know, but I'm lucky that I'm not gonna be the commentator.
Who knows? Once again, a big shout out to all of you who tuned in for all these epic battles in the Women's Speed Chess Championship on Chess TV and on Twitch as well. Make sure to come to twitch.tv/chess if you haven't already done so, clicking on the follow button so that you get notified next time we go live with the Junior Speed Chess Championship and the General Speed Chess Championship and so many other events hosted by Chess.com. Make sure to support this channel so that we can bring on even more competitions. And as Elina said, let's hope that we'll have even more tournaments for female players.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for being with us. It's been an amazing journey. Thank you, Anna, for being with me always, and our amazing Chess.com team. Thank you, everybody, so much.
I want to thank you as well, Sopiko, also for the previous matches where you looked after me by cooking all those delicious meals and giving me loads of chocolate. I miss being with you because that was the bestest of times for broadcasting alongside Miss Tactics from the Netherlands.
You're definitely missed here.
Thank you. I wish to be back soon. But before we do so, before we sign off, let's just remind everybody that the next big match will be the Junior Speed Chess Championship, and you don't want to miss those clashes because they are some of the most talented young players in the world. The future opponents of Magnus Carlsen, or not even Magnus Carlsen. Who knows if Magnus will be world champion by then? Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. Of course, Magnus is now at his peak. And that's another event that you can follow, of course, the Grand Chess Tour. But I believe we are going over to Alexandra Botas' channel. She has done an amazing job covering the candidates tournament, and now she's streaming on her channel. So if I'm correct and the read goes to Alexandra, then see you guys on Alexandra's channel. And in general, it's been just really great to hang out with you guys. Thank you, and see you next time. See you next time. Make sure to follow Sopiko's channel and her Instagram too. That's my final thought. My final thought.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.